just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. What a weekend of rugby league. But before we get into it, boys, it's been a long year, and I feel like I don't express how much what I feel about you guys enough. As blokes, sometimes we struggle to say our emotions. So this comes from the bottom of my heart. Yous aren't fuckwits. Yous aren't fuckwits.
He only just got here. I'm not convinced.
Can I have that in writing, please?
And so, yeah. So yous aren't fuckwits, and you're slightly above average blokes. So I got you as a present for the year.
Oh, here we go. Oh, Jesus.
And look, this comes from the bottom of my heart.
Derek of the year.
So here we go, boys. I would love for us all to wear this together as one. As a unit, boys. There you go.
Thanks, mate.
No worries.
Oh.
No worries. Now, Hammy, you're already kitted up, so apologies.
Yeah, a bit doing over here. That's all right.
Use a medium. You're
Thank
a medium.
you. Yeah, medium. Thank you.
Big dog.
Big boy season.
Extra small for me.
Yeah, extra small XS. I know you like it tight, mate. But mate, let's get her on. Let's get the kid on.
It's a bit tight, mate. I think you gave me yours.
Oh wow.
Oh, that is outstanding.
Who says only players win Dally M's? Hey? So I just wanted to squash the rumours of, does Denon even like the blokes next to him? I kind of do. Kind of do.
It's good to get closure.
There you go. I kind of do.
I noticed Matty missed out on one, but like you can only go so far, can't you?
Well, look, Matty's got a lot to go before I actually like him as a bloke. He currently works for me as an employee. We have a professional relationship, as one famous Sam Burgess said recently. And funnily enough, Rabbitohs fan, so maybe there's some in-strife at right bloke. But yeah, as I said, boys, yous aren't fuckwits.
Thank you. It means a lot. I mean, 35 degrees, tracksuit into t-shirt, El Nino outside. It's a tough carry, but I'm only here for 15 minutes or so I'll be sweet.
You'll be sweet. You'll be sweet. Boys, how was your weekend?
Good, mate. I got away to Queensland, actually.
Yeah?
Went up to Noosa. Arrived in Maroochydore. Calling it Garoochydore by the time I left.
That is great. That is great. Timmy?
Going good, mate. Spent the weekend in the nation's capital just to change things up a little bit. And prior to the Derek shirt, I was repping a bit of maroon, which I felt a bit crook doing, and it'll be the one and only time on this podcast. But the mighty Queanbeyan Roos towed up there the Canberra first grade grand final on the weekend, led by Sammy Williams, captain coach, 34-6 over the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. And boys, Sia Soliola led the way, formerly the spiritual leader of the Canberra, now the spiritual leader of the Queanbeyan Kangaroos. 80 minutes through the middle. It was the hottest day in Canberra since about 1840. The big fella still got it.
Wow. Well, that, you know what? That's a tale you tell your kids.
Yeah, it is.
You were there the day Soliola led the boys to a famous grand final win.
Mate, I was there when Gal went 80 in Origin through the middle, and it paled in comparison to what Sia did yesterday.
What about you, mate? How's your weekend?
Yeah, very good, very good. I got lucky enough to have 2 pairs of the bloke budgies, and I took them out for their maiden voyage to the beach on the
How'd
weekend.
they go?
I had the yellow ones at Coogee on Saturday, and the black and whites at Cleary on
Were you
Sunday.
fending off the lovely ladies?
I had my beautiful, lovely lady with me, so I was just
don't fend her off.
keeping a tight perimeter which is good.
Yeah.
There's a bit going on.
She was fending ladies
She
off.
was.
Yeah,
She
okay,
was.
okay.
Well done, Mon. You were outstanding. 80 in the middle of the beach there in tough conditions. So that was good. Good weekend.
That's good to hear,
And
mate.
actually watched the Saturday game with Matty as well.
Condolences.
Just to see if I could help his tipping a little bit, but we'll see if that worked.
We actually do have a shirt for you, Matty. Where is it? Should be in there.
Oh, I don't know what Matty tipped, but I'm excited for it.
Cannot wait. Better put that shirt on, mate. Otherwise, might have to have a work meeting. Anyway, before we get into it, don't forget Aussie footy shorts dropping. Bloke times Aussie footy shorts dropping 6 p.m. tonight. That is Monday. Our first ever footy shorts. They come with pockets. They are, as Hammy said, has science gone too far?
It has.
Why don't you grab a pair of Aussie footy shorts, Bloke Aussie footy shorts, and find out for yourself?
Oh, good touch of that. bloke material. So
I tell you what,
get yourself a pair.
is Aussie footy shorts, are they the Oppenheimer of rugby league? Maybe. They might be actually an actual movie around the ethics around footy shorts with pockets.
You had a bigger drop than Oppenheimer, though, mate.
Oh, well played.
That was good from you, Timmy. You're in grand final form. 6 p.m. tonight, guys. There is limited numbers. We got black, we got red, we got brown. The designs are sick. They're nice and soft. They're not those harsh, kind of cheap material that honestly feels like sandpaper? Oh, don't say sandpaper around Australians.
Too soon.
Too soon? Okay.
Too soon.
Not like sandpaper on the good old quads. So make sure to be there Monday, 6 p.m. They'll be on the Aussie Footy Shorts website, but we'll also have a link from our website. On top of that, if you join the Bloke Club, bloke.club, we text you as soon as they drop so you don't miss it. And we've got a lot of people that join that, and that's why some people are like, oh, how did I miss out so quickly? It's because they're a part of the Bloke Club. They get the text straight away as soon as they're live. Also, it's finals footy. We have Bloke Lager on special in all Bottle-O stores across New South Wales and Queensland. Get on to the Bottle-O store locator and grab a case of Bloke Lager, the beer of rugby league. We love the Bottle-O because they always have good value booze for good value people. So get into your local Bottle-O, grab a case of Bloke beer. It is the beer of rugby league. Now, a bit of rugby league over the weekend, boys. It was just a sentence, encapsulate what you felt rugby league was like over the weekend, Guru.
Sean Johnson.
Okay, that's 2 words. Is that a sentence? You are the ref.
Not technically a sentence, but I like you're pretty succinct in summing it up, so I'll allow it.
You'll allow it.
Sorry, I'm a bit sweaty over here. Got about 6 layers.
Tim?
Queanbeyan and Roos.
Mighty Queanbeyan Roos.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll pay it. I'm going to sum mine up in a very short sentence. Cannon fodder. These two teams are going to get blitzed.
Wow!
This weekend. Whoever won, didn't matter.
You're a brave man.
I enjoyed my footy, but, I mean, seriously, I think it's a fait accompli.
You are a brave man.
Yeah.
Warriors fans are known to be quite passionate. So
You have no idea what you've just done to yourself.
yeah, you've no idea.
Kia ora to all of our Warriors fans out there. Go easy on me.
How would I sum it up? I would sum it up as a moment in New Zealand rugby league history. Really thought that was a special moment. I think that overshadowed, it was incredible from the Roosters and Storm in regards to their grit and their toughness. But we already knew that about the Storm. We already knew that about the Roosters. But I think the way, when was the last time a Warriors side rocked up at a finals home game and didn't just win, dominated the opposition? A long time.
Racing the clock there at the start of the game. 3 tries in 15 minutes.
Unbelievable.
Hammered him.
I was watching that game at a pub in Queanbeyan, just outside Canberra, for anyone that doesn't know about the great place, and walked into this pub a couple of hours before the game. It was flooded with Kiwi fans.
Yeah, wow.
It was outstanding.
Yeah, it genuinely, I don't think we're, as Aussies, we see it when we walk into the pub, you see the Kiwis there, but we're not over in New Zealand, so we don't know how hectic it has been. So for the boys to go and do that, to deliver like that with so much pressure, it's something special. But speaking of rugby league, it's time now to face some music, brought to you by our lovely friends over at Sportsbet. There we go. And I tell you what, you can take that off so that you've got the full proper kit on.
Keep the sponsors happy.
Yeah, keep the sponsors happy.
Right. Whilst he's getting changed, Kempy, I've got a little bone to pick with our little mate Hammy. I noticed the Wallabies, they obviously went down to Fiji this morning, and I was having a look last night on Sportsbet. I was trying to get on my could be anything for a first try scorer.
Yep.
And I noticed that Sportsbet in the Union, they offer a first try scorer, but they offer an each way market. So that if he scores a second or third try, you get a quarter of the value. Like an each way bet.
Yeah, I like that.
I reckon we need that in rugby league.
Wow.
How many times you get on first try scorer and he scores second try and you decide yourself?
Yeah, I think leave that with me. I think a lot of our rugby union markets are sort of traded up over in Europe, so that might be something that they kind of do over there. So leave it with me. I'll take it back to the Boffins and see if we can get it in there for 2024.
Apply a bit of pressure to the big wigs.
I will.
Any protests? Maybe you need us to protest out the front?
I think if we're going there with a tracksuit, they should receive the message loud and clear. So we'll see how we go. I'll let you know.
Thanks, bro.
All right, so face the music. You're pretty familiar with it now. Worst tipper of the week has got to dance on camera to 5 seconds of a song from my choosing. So there's a person on the show making a bit of a reputation for themselves as a music lover, Matty. 2 weeks in a row, he's going for a West Tigers-esque wooden spoon three-peat this week. Are we going to get that? We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's start with the first game. So it was the Storm 18, the Chooks 13. Line was 8.5, and the over-under was 40.5. We asked for 4 tips this week because there was only the 2 games. Now, Timmy and myself, setting the standard here, flawless tipping, 4 from 4 for the first game here. We
Never
both
doubted
took
you, mate.
Coward, Timmy.
Well done.
This is coward. Timmy the Tin Heart being a coward. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, we
But
both-
I picked a winger, but I also knew that winger was going to score the match winner, so double points for them. If we're being serious.
True, very true. So we both went Storm head to head. Chooks with the start, which was 8.5 points. The unders and Warbrick to score any time. If you had a same game multi, that $10.50.
Ooh.
You had to follow the boys in there, so
Yeah.
not too bad. Next up was the Root. He had 3 out of 4. You got everything right except your try scorer, Katoa, didn't hit. And Denon, you also had 3 out of 4. You had the Chooks to cover, which didn't happen. The Storm to cover, which didn't happen. Your try scorer was Jerome Hughes. He got ruled out. So I actually gave you the replacement, Tyron Wishart.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I would have done anyway. I would have chosen Tom Wishart.
Exactly. So that was paying $5.30. So great tip on Wishy there, mate.
Thanks,
Well done.
Ray. I'm surprised the punters didn't get on that one.
Yeah. Some of your finest there. So 3 out of 4 for you. And then 2 out of 4, bringing up the tail, down there in his natural habitat. Last is Matty after 1 game. You had the Storm head-to-head and the unders, but you had the Storm to cover the line and you had Munster any time. So 2 out of 4. Slow start.
I mean, Munster did match-winning try assist. That's got to count for something.
Yeah, but he wasn't backing any time try assists, was he? So unfortunately,
Maybe that should be a market, anytime try assist.
leave it with me. One for 2024 there. Got to be a big year at Sportsbet. All right, next game. This was a good, honest Kiwi humping. This one wasn't.
Yeah, it
We've
was.
summed it up already. 40 points to 10. The line was 5.5 points, 41.5 the over-under. I had the pleasure of watching this one with Matty, and he needed a bit of help after being 2 from 4. So I was just sort of looking for behaviours at the pub that I might be able to reward him for, bring it in to Face the Music. And extremely niche this one, but he actually correctly guessed my age at the pub. So I'm going to give him a bonus point there.
What? That's ridiculous.
What do you reckon my age is? Let's work our way around.
If we get it, do we get a bonus point?
Potentially, maybe a half point.
Okay.
35.
Oh, jeez. Minus a point for you.
32.
29.
Ooh, 31. So no bonus points. Well done, Matty, who hit it on the head. So bonus points for
Good
Matty.
skincare. Good skincare routine.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
Do I get a point for that? No, that's okay.
No. All right, now, once again, Timmy and myself setting the tone here. We had the Waz.
Oh, my God.
The Waz to cover. And
We're
the
turning
overs.
Selesniak to score like fucking Jesus.
Finals footy, nothing changes. boys.
Yeah. You had Nia Corey, went off.
Did good.
Didn't score.
HIA.
Didn't he let us know about it during the game?
Oh, my God.
I had Waz, I had Knights to cover, didn't happen. Overs and DWZ. Denon, you had 3 out of 4 as well. Waz to cover, and you had Aden Fanua Blake. Some of your try scorers this week at $5.60. Aden Fanua Blake.
Thank you.
Loves
That's one of the great calls all time, in my opinion, but whatever. A finals, front rower, scoring meaties down the middle, and I picked it. It's whatever.
Absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, where'd that come from? He's only scored 10 tries this year.
Guru, you had 2 out of 4. You had the Warriors to cover. You went the unders, and you had Jackson Ford, but you had some big ones hit on Insta from memory.
Yeah, they're bonus point worthy. I agree.
I disagree.
No, you got to lock them in early, mate, unfortunately.
Can we add in Guru going the early crow on Instagram after the Storm game where he got 3 out of 4, which didn't even win on the panel, glorifying himself as a champion, then only to back that up with 2 from 4 the next day.
Yeah, that is poor
That's
form.
an ordinary early crow.
Yeah.
Penthouse to the shit house in 24 hours. Very poor early crow there. Now, speaking of which, Matty, to wrap us up,
Far out.
Matty went Knights head to head. Knights, obviously, to cover the line. He had the overs, which you got a point for, and then he had Dom Young. So 1 out of available 4 points there for Matty. +1 with the bonus point for guessing my age. So how did we finish up? Timmy and myself, I mean, it must be great for you guys to sit up close and personal to this sort of quality tipping. Hopefully it'll help you raise your game. 7 out of 8 for us for this week. So we're on the top. Denon and the Flying Roo, fresh off the plane from Noosa, came away with 5 out of 8. 5'8", a Freddie Fitler, as we call it in Face the Music. Or
Don't lock you.
and Elton Flatley. Shout out to the Rugby World Cup on stand.
Yeah, we're going well.
And 4 out of 8 with a very dubious bonus point for the 3rd week in a row.
Jesus.
Coming up here to
Oh
Face the
my
Music
God.
is Matty the Water Boy.
What the hell is wrong with this guy?
This is remarkable. So we had the In-Betweeners dance week 1, Sprinkler week 2. I'm intrigued to know what we're going to get week 3. We're going to see the bubbler, perhaps. I have to wait and see.
We'll wait and see.
Today you're going to be dancing for 5 seconds to Here I Go Again by Whitesnake. Okay? You'll pick it up pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
All
Here
right,
he is.
Here he is once again.
Oh, my God.
Jeez.
There it is.
Well done, Matty.
Oh,
Well done.
That was
he's
great.
not good at sport, but he's a good sport.
He certainly is. Now, there's a bit of a...
Uh-oh.
This is a line in the sand for Face the Music. We just had a three-peat.
Yeah.
We don't like seeing three-peats which reward bad performance. Ask any Tigers fan. We don't want to see that next year. So if you finish last again next week, if you think it's cool to finish last in tipping, well, you're going to have to get in an ice bath for 2 minutes whilst in your Bloke Budgie Smugglers whilst Ice Baby plays.
Oh, my God.
Now, obviously, we can't do that here in the studio. We're going to have to go out and do that. But I actually didn't put that past anyone as well, so I hope that
Look, all good.
Matty for an hour. But Matty will be in the ice bath if he finishes the last 4 weeks in a
But
row.
he's still got to dance as well.
In the ice, well, maybe once he comes out.
Could he dance in the show and then go and do the ice
Yeah,
bath?
absolutely.
Okay, there we go.
In the budgies or...
Mate, whatever you want.
All right.
Nude if you want.
I'll talk to... that's a bit tough to put on Matty right now live on the show. But you'll be in an ice bath if you tip. Or if you don't want to do it, just tip better. Pretty simple. Pretty simple equation.
Oh, wow.
So that's that.
Holy.
Just witnessed history. First three-peat in Face the Music history.
You're the Penrith Panthers of bad tipping.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All-timer, Hall of Fame.
Jeez Louise. There it is. Face the Music brought to you by Sportsbet, the best betting app in all the land. Make sure to download it to check out the odds. Gamble responsibly. You win some, but you lose more. But there it is. The Face the Music. And then I tell you what, a lot of blokes have Face the Music with pride and passion.
Yep.
I want to see these two blokes if they've got it in them, because sometimes you just don't know.
Don't hold your breath, mate.
The internet is just crying out for Guru doing the chicken dance. So give us something. We need to see a bit of tanking from Guru.
He did come in a bit sad today after the weekend.
He did.
Very
A
sad.
little bit quiet.
Yep.
A little bit quiet.
I'm very lucky Matty exists. I'll tell you that much for free.
Tips
All right.
for this week?
Let's
All right,
do it.
Finals week 3. So again, we've only got 2 games. So I'll get your head-to-head, your line, your total match points, and an anytime try scorer.
Okay.
First game, Panthers $1.18, the Storm $4.95, 12.5 is the line, and the over/under is 38.5 points.
Panthers 13 plus unders. Anytime try scorer. I'm going to go Stephen Crichton.
Like it.
I'm going to go Panthers 13 plus. I'm going to go the unders. I'm going to take Isaac Tungo as my try scorer. Am I
Tungo's
missing
out, so
something?
do you want to go again, or?
Is he out? Is that confirmed?
I believe so.
Oh, no,
Wow.
I'll take Isaac Tungo or his... Oh, no, it might be Luke Garner. I was thinking it's a peach. Full due respect to Luke Garner. Actually, I'll take the people's chin, Nath Cleary.
Yep.
I will go Panthers to cover, unders, and Scotty Sorensen locked back in.
I don't know, mate. You're telling the story.
Scotty Sorensen, and if not, his replacement, left edge back
Do we
rower.
get extra points for saying 13 plus and not just to cover?
Well, in fact, to cover this week would be literally 13 plus, because it's 12.5 points.
So that half a point obviously can't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So you're going 13 plus as well.
Yeah, I'm going to make the call and go 13 plus with you.
Okay.
Yep.
Guru doesn't have it in him. He's going the line.
Did
but
I
we'll
say
go
13 plus? I'll go 14 plus, Hammy.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Wow.
Will we see a chicken dance off the back of that?
Holy.
I'll go Panthers 13 plus, overs, and Dylan Edwards.
Well played. Okay. I've got Panthers to cover, 13 plus.
Yeah.
Unders. I had Crichton. Do I need to mix it up just for the sake of... You had Crichton. They're the same ones.
Yeah, we can go the same. Just so, okay, let's say they won by 13 points.
Yeah.
Would that be 13 plus?
Yeah, 13 plus.
Oh, okay.
Throw it out there, Hammy, nice and early, that the boys, you just got across the line from the dance this week and they've started going outside backs. They were all heroes last week when they went their forwards, but the pressure gets turned on and all of a sudden they're going centres and wingers.
That's rich coming from a
Ah,
bloke that
call
just
it what
picks
it
wingers.
Nathan Cleary playing on the wing this week, is he?
Oh, wow.
Bombshell
Fact check.
by Ivan Cleary.
Yeah, wow.
What do you mean?
Timmy got fact checks by
You
Guru.
went Tungo, didn't you?
No, I went Nath Cleary.
You went
mate.
Cleary
Changed.
because Tongue was out.
Got to pay attention,
righto,
kid. Come on.
righto.
Next game, Broncos $1.26, Warriors $3.90. 10.5 is the line, and the over/under 42.5. few more points in this one, potentially. Who are we thinking?
Broncos 1-12.
Okay.
Broncos 1-12. I think it's going to be a tight match. And I'm going to go Jordan Ricky to score. There.
Over 42.5 points or under?
Under.
Yep.
I'm going to go Brisbane 13 plus. I'm going to go unders. I like Jordan Ricky as well. Actually, no, I'm going to stick with Jordan Ricky.
Yeah.
Brisbane 13. No, sorry. Brisbane to win. What was the line?
10.5.
We'll go Warriors to cover.
Yep.
What else we got there?
Over under.
Over under. Under.
Yep.
And Reece Walsh.
Broncos to cover, overs, Herbie Farnworth.
Herbie, fully loaded. I got Broncos to cover the line. Overs, I got Walsh as well.
Okay, there it is.
That's it.
There it is. There are your tips. Get on them. If you got on Timmy and Hammy last week, you'd have been a rich man.
Get around
Born.
us responsibly.
Obviously, of course.
Yeah.
Get around the boys responsibly.
Absolutely. Big week for Matty. Getting in those ice bars, bit of Wim Hof, getting ready for it all.
Jeez, Reece Walsh at $1.70 is a big play by you two.
He's not paying
Another big.
$1.70.
He might be $1.60. You're right.
Nah,
big play again. Huge.
Excuse me for trying to build another 4 out of 4 same game multi.
Look, it's
me.
boring footy. Look, the fans you can follow Timmy or Hammy for a bit of boring footy, or you can follow myself and Guru for a bit of a pizzazz, a bit of risk.
Razzle dazzle.
You get Reece Walsh $2 plus just about every week.
So look, you make the choice. If you want to watch good footy that puts bums back on seats, come down the Guru beat route. If you want to watch boring, grindy, we won by 2 points kind of nonsense, you can go Hammy. And now if you want to watch just bad footy, you can go after Matty.
Hey, if you're complaining about some of those try scorers being a little bit too skinny, you can actually get on the early grand final anytime try scorer markets at Sportsbet.
Ooh.
So if you think the Bronx are going to get in there, you can get Selwyn Cobbo at $2.90 now, anytime.
Yep.
Reece Walsh is there at $3.15.
I don't mind that Stags. Was that
Yeah,
340?
Stags, $3.45 anytime. So if you want to get a little bit of value, confident one of the teams is going to get through, get on there now. We've got a first try scorer market as well. But you're going to get a better price there.
What's the price for Cleary or Walsh to win the Clive?
I'll get it for you, all right.
Cleary's into about 4.30, I think it was yesterday.
That's not bad.
He's
Pally.
come in $4.25.
Wow.
Walsh $7, and it's basically those two and daylight in terms of the early betting.
I mean, the 4.25 from Cleary is like pretty good value in my opinion, because if they're to win, he's going to play well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, I don't mind that.
What about Big Payne Haas? I know you love your Payne Haas. $12.50.
Wow. That's pretty
Clive.
good. Wow, I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Couple of early bird markets there.
Get in there soon, because obviously they'll come in, especially with Payne Haas when he runs over 300 metres on the weekend. That is brought to you by Sportsbet, legend partners over at Sportsbet. Massive thank you for supporting the show. As always, gamble responsibly. You win some, but you lose more. And thanks, brother.
See you next week, boys.
Now, quickly, before we get into it, for all loyal bloke listeners, or even if you're not loyal, if you're a disloyal bloke listener, we have a survey about Bloke in a Bar that we'd like you to take. It's about how you consume the podcast, how many hours you listen to, different segments of the show. If you do the survey, we're actually going to pick out 5 random people to give you a $100 voucher for merchandise. So the survey link is in show notes. So if you go down the bottom of the YouTube, or you go into the podcasting notes, you'll see the survey link. We're giving away 5 $100 gift cards for the survey. And if you just have a sec, please do the survey, because it really helps us in regards to, going to advertisers and saying, this is the segment they like. So if you want to get involved with this one or this one, it's really, really helpful. Like, I cannot stress to you enough how much it'll help Bloke. Just take 5 minutes to answer the questions, because that's kind of the difference. That's what makes it so hard for podcasters when we go out there, and you boys can attest to this. When we go out there to these, to try and partner with some, big companies, when they speak to the networks and that, the networks have all this information that podcasters don't. So it's very hard for companies to go, well, I know that your engagement's good, but, I don't really know this or that. So if you can, just a quick 5-minute survey, you've got a chance to win one of 5 $100 Bloke gift vouchers. And we've got something pretty big coming up. Obviously, the Aussie footy shorts, it's tonight, but next week, I'm not going to say what it is, but it's one of our biggest drops of the year. So if you want a $100 gift voucher, you want it for this drop. Trust me, because it's coming soon and it's freaking cool.
I'm so excited, Kempy, for the survey. I've been lucky enough to have a sneak peek at it. And question one, obviously, no surprise to anyone. On a scale of 1 to 10, how big a flog is the rugby league guru? And we get the opportunity to just get the data, get the numbers behind how big a tool guru is.
Yep.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited to see, do the fans actually know how much of a flog you are? Because even if they come back and say that you're not, I am going to just say, no, that's not true.
I've had a big weekend, boys. No space for it.
So go to the link. Survey link is in the show notes. So let's get straight to it. Team of the week. At number 1, Chance, Nickel Klokstad. What an incredible game for a guy like Chance. And we'll get into it more when we talk about the Warriors, but a really niche kind of takeaway for me personally from this game with Chance. If you wanted a measurement of how incredible the Warriors system currently is, you need to watch Chance's performance on the weekend. And why do I say that? You go back a couple years, in my opinion, he was best on ground in the grand final. But what happened, Timmy? Cramps, 65th, 70th minute, boom, off the field. He got through more work in this game and didn't even look close to cramping. So that is how far or how good this Warrior system is. And I'm not trying to knock the Raiders system at all, like, because it could change, it could get better, whatever. All I'm saying is look how much improvement of an already great player has happened in the Warriors environment.
Please never ask Tim what happened in 2019.
Apologies.
I can't believe you threw that at me.
It
Like,
is
not
so
even,
dangerous.
You weren't even trying to be a smart ass. It was a genuine question. I'm like, is this bloke for real?
But he was one of the best on ground, correct?
He always is.
He was outstanding in that grand final until he got taken off. And so his efforts on the weekend, I think just a smidge under 300 metres, but we'll give him 300, 30 plus runs or whatever. It was mammoth. But also at the right time he was taking these runs. He didn't overplay his hand. He jumped in when he knew SJ or Tomato Martin needed someone to jump in. I thought he was incredible.
32 runs, 299 metres.
Give him 300.
Give him
Stat
three
man
stars.
has no heart. Who's the stat man?
who's
Or
done
stat
that?
woman? You got no heart. You got no heart. The great Charles Nickel Klokstad goes 299 through 30 plus runs and you don't give him a 300. It's a bloody robbery.
My favourite Kempy had one line break, which was the try he scored, so he would have got 6 metres off that.
Yeah.
103 post contact.
Oh! Stat man or woman, you got no heart to rob him of that. I demand a recount. Look, there was the US election a few years ago where they demanded a recount. This is bigger. Chance Nickel Klokstad for 300 metres. Hashtag Chance for 300. I want a recount,
Maybe
boys.
Trump's doing the stats.
Maybe he is. Jesus, it's unbelievable he's been robbed of the 300. But he was outstanding. At number 2, the brick. Will Warbrick. What a freaking ginormous play. Now, what is so incredible about his play is if Xavier Coates did that, I would say that's Xavier Coates. Played Origin, top-tier winger, it's all good. Will Warbrick, in his essentially first full year of NRL, in such a big moment, and had a really quiet game, to be honest, to pull that play off. And it wasn't just a decent catch. It was an incredible catch because Ponga did everything right. Everything that he could possibly do, he did. Got his hands in there, your goal if a smaller winger is just to get your hands in there to try and hit their hands away to create a knock-on. That play is one of the best plays you'll see by a first-year player in a very long time.
For sure, and this is his first year of first grade.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he came from Rugby Sevens last year, played in the Host Plus Cup up there for the Falcons, and always looked fantastic. And I think the Melbourne Storm have picked their moments really well. They've been very, very patient with him. Brought him in at the right time. 24 games this year, 17 tries.
Yeah,
Incredible.
and just getting better each week as well. And just a fun fact, he actually played AFL in New Zealand.
Wow.
So that's probably, part of the
makes
reason
sense.
why he was so good at.
There is Aussie rules in New Zealand.
That's what I thought as well.
What?
And what is it called? Is it called New Zealand rules? Like, what's it called? Do they just keep it Aussie rules?
NZFL.
And ZFL? I don't mind that.
Wow.
But he played AFL over in New Zealand, reportedly. That's it's almost strange to think about AFL in New Zealand, to be honest.
So weird. It doesn't sit right.
And also, Will Warbrick, like such a gifted athlete. What the hell are you doing playing that in New Zealand, bruh? Play like Union. And I know that he was playing Union and he apparently didn't get picked up or whatever. I hate that yarn of people like, oh, he didn't get picked up in Union. but he got picked up in league. Therefore, our best backs are better than your backs. It's like, bro, they're different games. They suit different things. Like, relax.
When you have a look at Israel Flowers' first season down there in Melbourne, he played 27 games, scored 21 tries.
Yeah.
This guy's at 24 games for 17 tries.
Yeah.
It's not far off.
Reminds me of a young Beaks playing 23 games and scoring 29 tries. But we won't get into that. Whatever.
We've spoken enough of it this morning about it.
At 3, Adam Pompey. Man, for a bloke that, if there's one part of his game needs to improve defence, his defence was outstanding on the weekend. I was shocked to my core at how good, not only was he making the correct system calls, he was making big calls in defence and landing it every single time.
He's the exact centre we talk about with so many of these teams. Geez, they could do with a safe, reliable dude. He is exactly it, isn't he?
He's getting better and better. And like at the start of the year, their defence on that edge, sometimes you would just go, what is doing? His defence on the weekend was outstanding.
And on top of that, turns out he's one of the best goal kickers on the planet as well.
Another thing. And I think it doesn't get credited enough how important goal kicking is. I mean, all you got to do is watch the Q Cup grand final last night. Burleigh Bears scored more tries and lost the game. At number 4, I'll let you introduce this man.
Yeah, Rocco Berry. I think it's so good, Kempin. You probably talk more about it, but like when you see young centres come into the game, when clubs are patient with them, like for some guys it can take 30, 40, 50 games until they start to show what they can really do. And I think we're finally starting to see it with Rocco Berry.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with outside backs, we're so obsessed with youth.
Yep.
And look, I get it. It's an explosive position. I get all that. But I think in today's game, when you see how clinical a team like the Penrith Panthers are, it takes time to build up the defensive intelligence because they take any little... If you give them half a metre, they'll take it. Whereas I feel like back in the day, there were certain centres that could kind of get away with bad defence if they were good in attack. You can't get away with it now in today's game.
And I've harped on about it all years with these young guys. I know I talk them up, could be endings and all this, but like he's a classic guy that his development completely derailed by COVID and everything. So there's some of these guys, like I saw Alamotti sign with the Panthers the other day. He's another one. Everything was derailed. I think it might take them a little bit more time, but I think a lot of these guys are going to come very good after that 30, 40 game mark.
We've been talking all year about that right edge of the Warriors. Now it's one of the best attacking edges in the competition. It's all about Sean Johnson, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, and little old Rocco Berry in there just doing his job, running a rock hard line every time. I'd love to hear Sean Johnson talk about Rocco Berry. So, mate, what does he mean to this edge? And like, what's his, we know what his role in it is, but how influential is he to this edge? Because he doesn't get the headline moments or the raps, but far out, he's been good.
I love the try that he scored. Obviously unreal, incredibly strong, but I love in the lead up to that play, he got the ball, didn't overplay his hand, just catch and pass at the right moment. He's matured so much in the last few months, Rocco Berry.
I'm surprised he didn't catch the line. Runs a Rocco hard line.
He does.
Rock hard line. Like that, Timmy. Like
Thanks,
that, mate.
Get rid of these puns.
Very good.
Dallin Watene.
Thank you.
Dallin Watene-Zelezniak.
no.
Now, this could have been Montoya or was it DWZ. We went with DWZ. We thought that offload was pretty incredible, and obviously scored a try too. I know Montoya did as well, but either or. You could have either or winger, to be honest. At 6, Cameron Munster. Now, Cameron Munster probably didn't have the best 60 minutes or whatever. He had his moments for sure, ran for quite a few metres, had some tackle breaks. But honestly, you have to put him in the great territory when you talk about blokes that you want to give the ball in the big moments. It is unbelievable. Like, the balls to not set up for a field goal and go for that cross-field kick. It is truly shocking the amount of games this bloke just goes, even if he's been quiet, and he just goes bang.
I was thinking about it last night, like as far as if it was the last play of the game and I had to pick someone to kick the ball, to the corner like that. Cam Munster, as far as just his kicking ability and all that, he probably wouldn't be at the top of my list.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
when it comes to that last minute and who I want there, Munster right up there.
He's right up there. As you said, like, if you took that away and you go, who's the best crossfield kickers in the game? He probably wouldn't even make top 5.
No.
And yet, just in these moments, he just is ice cold. He loves it.
He wouldn't make top 2 in his team for me.
Yeah.
It's top 1 anyway.
Mate,
I'd take Hughesy.
Unbelievable. At 7, the Prince of Penrose, Sean Johnson. Look, I tell you what, it's one thing to know, we know he's a superstar. We know he's done all these incredible things. But to see him be so ice cold in a in a elimination final match at home, first home final in, let's just say randomly, 15 years, with the country on your back, coming back from an injury, that's what shocked me the most about SJ. It wasn't the passing, it wasn't the footwork, it wasn't the squaring up or going deep in the line. What shocked me the most was how ice cold he was the entire time he was on the field.
I think, too, if you're a young halfback out there, I'd be getting that first 15 minutes of SJ and watching that on repeat. Brilliant halfback play. Just had KP all over the place.
Unbelievable.
That moment where he came off with 5:10 to go, whatever it was, and there's a bit of a stoppage in play, and he's just walking down the sideline, saluting the crowd, and they're just going bonkers, was such a special moment for rugby league and for Warriors fans, for Sean Johnson, his career. Oh, that was incredible.
It's amazing it's so good that he got, because he got all the plaudits when he was younger and he's a superstar, but to work all the way back, to have that moment with the New Zealand fans after everything New Zealand fans have been through, the COVID, they've been almost, how often do they get the short end of the short stick? It's incredible. It's incredible. So SJ, the ice in his veins, even in the game where it looked like Knights were going to come, we'll get to it in the game review. At number 8, my boy, Terrell May. He's a beast, man. If I'm looking for a big boy front rower, I'm looking at Terrell May if I'm another club. I think that the Roosters are going to have a real hard time keeping him if Hargreaves goes around again, because there's a lot of clubs that could use a big fella like Terrell May.
I mean, the international's the end of this year. I don't know who he's able to play for and whatnot, but there's going to be an arm wrestle there for him.
For
His
sure.
services, I reckon.
Maybe
Samoa.
Yeah.
He was outstanding. His stats, 45 tackles, 0 missed, I think 120 metres, a couple of key offloads, soft hands. He was outstanding. He
the more I watch him, the more he reminds me, and I think he's going to be the next Takiaho. He's got the hands, he's got the footwork. I think his footwork's unbelievable. He just manages to get guys off balance. He's got a great little offload. I thought his hands too. I think it was the Brandon Smith try, just to catch and pass. Very simple, but he's just got good awareness.
Has he re-signed or not?
I think he's signed for one this year, but I think he could negotiate right now with other clubs. Yeah. And there was interest. I read a report early in the week that the Storm wanted him, but he didn't want to move away from family that soon. But
Yeah, he can negotiate from November 1. So he's contracted to 2024.
Mate, the Storm could absolutely use a guy like him. He is exactly what they need at that club. I mean, there's plenty of clubs that could use a guy like Terrell May. I think he's about 25 years old, but he was outstanding on the weekend. Absolutely outstanding. At number 9, Harry Grant. I think that, we've spoken about it so many times on this podcast, but I think, look, it's not a settled debate. It'll always change. Rugby league, the trends change or whatever. But if you ever need an example of, I believe, sometimes you don't need to start your best hooker, I think Harry Grant's the guy. I don't want him doing all the shit work. We know he can do it, and we know he can go 80. But is that the best for him? Is that the best for the team? I just don't know if it is. And I love the fact that Craig Bellamy said, you know what? It's been a long couple of years for Harry Grant. He's looking fatigued. Big match. Let's just get someone on the field to get through the tough stuff. Not the tough stuff, because we know Harry Grant's tough, but, the shit stuff. And then we bring Harry Grant to do what he does best. And you have to give credit, but you could argue maybe Queensland started to agree with Ben Hunt and Harry Grant, but I think Penrith Panthers really drove this home with Mitch Kenyapi Coruscant.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. No, I think, I've been saying it all year, just because you can play it, doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. He was when he came on, he changed the game. Yeah. He changed the game.
In a game where a lot of the big dogs failed to step up and probably imprint their mark on the game. Cam Munster, James Tedesco, both had their moments, but it was Harry Grant who came on and turned it and busted open on a few occasions.
Yep. Adam Fenor-Blake at 10. I mean, that footwork for the try. You're not going to see another front rower doing that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I almost thought in this game, AFB, he obviously scored the try, which was tremendous, but, he only had 10 touches of the football.
Yeah.
The amount of times they use him as a decoy, he's as dangerous without the ball as he is with it. You have to two-man him, you have to always have eyes on him. And I think the way that they utilise him, even that try, where they had him placed, just too wider, and Jackson Ford ran that brilliant line. They just use him so well, AFB.
What I love about the Warriors play is they have set plays to score around the post.
Yep.
Whereas a lot of clubs don't have that. A lot of clubs are just like, look, we're going to try and get quick momentum, strip of numbers. They've got set plays to create spaces around the post, and we saw that on the weekend with 3 or 4 tries around that area. And it's genius. It's genius because that's where your fatigue is. And also, that's your high percentage plays. You don't have to throw the long pass. You just go the short pass, hit short. So, Adam Fanua-Blake at 11, Jackson Ford. Holy. I know we go over it nearly every time we speak about him, but geez, watching that as a Dragons fan would have hurt. I'm sorry, Dragons fans, but how you let this guy go as a local junior and now he's doing this. Wow.
Yeah, well, we got forward. We got another kid from Gerringong. The Dragons let go on the bench for team of the week as well. Very tough for Dragons fans, and you know they're carrying on like a dickhead. It was so evident Jackson Ford was such a good player.
It was evident. That's one like
blatantly obvious.
If there's ones that you can go, okay, look, he didn't have the right attitude. He was young, or it just wasn't working for him. Jackson Ford, you could see there was a great player there.
And I mean, even to the point where like the Dragons weren't even playing him in his correct position in reserve grade. Like they were just doing him no favours whatsoever. So credit to Webby.
And to show that it wasn't hindsight hero stuff, said Webby got him there. I don't know if it was Webby got him there or they might have had him prior to Webby signing, but from round 1, he was this starting 80-minute edge back rower. And you went, it's a surprise pick. Especially had Josh Curran there, a bunch of good edge back rowers. It was Ford from the day dot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was almost so locked in as Niokore. Niokore?
He was playing bigger minutes. Early in the year, Niokore was playing 50s, 60s, and Ford was the 80-minute man.
Yeah.
And it was very evident from the start. I think it was week 3 or 4 where we came out and said, Jackson Ford's one of those guys. He gets better as the game goes on. That's why we need him for 80 minutes. So before he'd even really spent that much time with him, gone, a month of football, he knew.
Yeah, he was so freaking good on the weekend. Some of his tough carries that like swung momentum in sets were just outstanding. At 12, we've moved a front rower to the edge because I think he's been the unsung hero of the pack when it comes to Warriors. Rightly so, Adam Fanua-Blake deserves all the praise that he should get. There's no denying that. Rightly so. Mitch Barnett, unsung hero of that pack. He has been outstanding.
Yeah, he's been great this year. And I felt like there was a period of time when he was out during the season, you could see a difference in this Warriors side. I'm not sure how many he came up with in this game, but throughout the season, some of the key offloads he's come up with, he's been so important to them.
We'll go through the rest quickly because otherwise we'll be giving away half our bloody review. At 12, Mitch Barnett, 13, Tohu Harris. We'll go through it in the review, but me personally, one of the best forward performances I've seen in a finals game. It was unbelievable what he did. At 14, Tyron Wishart. At 15, Sandon Smith. At 16, Lindsay Collins. At 17, Victor Radley. Now, it's time. There was plenty to choose from. Brought to you by our friends over at Menulog. The hungriest player of week 2 of the finals is Charles Nickel-Klukstad. That is right. Use code Nickel. No, I'm joking. I'm not going to do that to you. Use code CHARNZE, CHARNZE, for free delivery over $15. But anyone who uses this code also goes into the draw for a $200 Menulog voucher for the grand final weekend. That is right. Use code CHANCE. Not only do you get free delivery, but anyone who uses this code also goes to the draw to win $200 Menulog voucher for grand final week. So let's say you're going to have your mates over for grand final, whatever it is. You go into the draw, boom. You can feed all your mates for free if you win the voucher. So use code CHANCE. A massive thank you to our legend partners, Menulog, for this. But Charles Nickel-Klukstad is our hungriest player of the week, brought to you by Menulog.
Isn't he just one of those guys you'd love to have at fullback, Tim?
Wow. That was low, Guru.
How long have we got left in this?
He started it too.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's going to be a long couple of hours, boys.
Just because the Chooks lost, mate. Don't need to bring down the poor old Raiders.
It's flowing early.
Massive thanks to our legend partners over at Menulog. If you're going to get a feed, download the Menulog app today. Use it. They support us, so please support them, guys. Now, let's get straight into it. The semi-final review. Now, don't forget, you can vote for the most valuable bloke for the second week of the finals. The link will be in show notes. So you can go there, vote for the most valuable bloke of each game, and then at the end of it, we will crown the most valuable bloke of the final series. Both games this week will be on 9 now. Download the app, watch it. Let's get into it. Storm defeat the Roosters 18-13. Let's just get straight into it. The big call that happened in the first half. everything's already been said, so I almost feel like it's pointless talking about it. Shocking call, huge swing in the game. But if you're a Roosters fan, I implore you, please go and watch Trent Robinson's press conference, because my respect for Robbo as a coach has gone through the roof after watching that. Now, I already, thought he's one of the best coaches we've seen, already had massive amounts of respect for him. But if you go and watch that, you can go and see why he's won as many premierships as he's won, as many minor premierships as he's won. And even, it made me think back to sorry, Timmy, you're getting smashed this week. It made me think back to the 2019 grand final.
You opened up this show saying you were, you didn't mind us as blokes. You gave us a shirt as a present, and then it's just been all-out attack on T-Dub.
Oh.
You taking the piss at the start?
It made me rethink of that, because I remember, so they won the game, and he was getting interviewed by 9 after the game, and I'm sure you boys remember too. Thurston asked him, basically, what do you think of the 6 again call? It was a big call, Thurston didn't do anything wrong. He's asking the right question. It was a big call. It did have a big effect on the game. And Robbo was very prickly about it. And basically Robbo was like, mate, we defended our line for like 6 or 7 sets. That's what won us the game. And basically letting everyone know that there's 80 minutes. One call doesn't make you win a game. It's the 80 minutes. And when that happened, there was a part of me that was like, look, I think Robbo's just saying that because he won a grand final and he wants his team's effort to be rewarded. Fast forward, we're like 4 years in the future, 3 years in the future. And in the press conference, he said the exact same thing, and he was on the losing side of a terrible call. You could argue even worse, because it's like right there and there was but let's just say it's equally as bad. And he said the exact same thing. We had plenty of opportunities to win that match and we didn't take them. And so after watching that press conference, I thought it was one of the best, well-handled press conferences I've seen in a long time. Honestly, similar to what Ricky Stewart did in that 2019 grand final. I thought he handled it really well. I thought Robbo handled this really well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you can see in moments like that, the Roosters haven't had their greatest year. I mean, in saying that, they've done pretty freaking well finishing in the top 6. But you can see where that grit comes from and that attitude that Trent Robinson obviously instills in them. And even over the last few years, and we've been pretty critical of the Roosters this year at different points. But I mean, we're at the end of a season once again, and we're still talking about the Roosters.
Yeah.
Despite, how far off the mark from where we thought they would be, it is pretty impressive.
Oh, it's massive. I honestly, go and watch the press conference, because he said, look, we've had some pretty harsh critics, but we're honest with ourselves. We should have been better. We could be better. And it's the reason why they've been so good for so long. With standards like that, especially after a loss where you could absolutely make the argument that if that doesn't happen, maybe they do score a try, maybe it's a 12-point turnaround, I don't know. But the way he handled it is honestly nothing short of incredible.
He's such a class act, and there would have been about probably 14 other coaches in the NRL who would have blown up deluxe about it. I was like, no, that didn't cost us the game, and it didn't. Like one decision doesn't cost a team a game. As he said time and time again, there's 80 minutes of football. It doesn't come down to one decision.
It doesn't. And the Roosters had every opportunity to win that game. Unfortunately, when they needed their attack to just click once or twice, it just didn't. It just didn't. And also, it's the Melbourne Storm. We'll get to it, but their ability to hang in games is honestly a joke. Yeah. It is a joke.
Just on Trent Robinson, we move on. I reckon he would be quietly very confident and very excited about next year. You think about everything that's gone wrong this year. They finished, 2 weeks short of a grand final. They've got Terrell May, looks like the best young forward in rugby league right now. Sam Walker, say what you will, he's landed 2 match-winning games in 2 finals. They just happened to have not won the second game, realistically. Sandon Smith coming off the bench, he's been unreal. Lindsay Collins has gone to a new level. And, they lost that game on the weekend, but they were missing all their centres and all their wingers.
Yeah.
Pull all those guys back into that side. And if Sam Walker can play the entire year next year, I don't want to get ahead of myself because we have the last few years, but the Roosters, they look like a serious threat for next season.
Yeah.
Brandon Smith starting to play his best footy at 9 last few
Cleary
weeks.
was great towards the end of the year.
Wong's emerged now. There's a lot of good things there.
I'm torn on it because Robbo would absolutely be seeing all that and getting excited. I do want, let's not ignore how freaking good this roster is. And you look at the back line that ran out, the back 5 outside of Tedesco, the centres and the wingers, and you go far out. No wonder they couldn't capitalise in certain situations. However, their pack was there, their spine was there. They were still a damn good footy team. They're out week 2 of finals. they were okay in this fixture. I do wonder if from a player's perspective, and we mentioned it a few weeks ago, will this finish this season and making week 2 of the finals and being a whisker of playing in a prelim final, will it cover over cracks that emerge this season or not? That's the big question for me for the Roosters next year.
As I said, go and watch the press conference because he literally says, guys, we can't let this cover the fact that this has not been a good season and we're not going to allow it to be. He talks specifically, we need to look at the start of our years and find out why we are doing that because we can't afford to do it.
And that's where Robbo's way too intelligent for it. He won't be sitting there going, I'm happy with this year.
Yeah.
He'll be going, well, you should have been in premiership contention in 2 weeks' time. But, it's from the players' perspective, do they sit back and go, week 2 of finals, that's not a bad season. We had things go wrong. We still made it this far. That's Robbo's job to get that out of their head.
Yeah.
And go, no, guys, grand final or nothing.
No, I personally think they'll learn from this year. I think they'll learn and it'll finally be driven home that, I think, look, going into the year, I did get a feeling that they were always like, our roster's so good, it's just going to click. And I think this year has taught them it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good your roster is. You can go out and get done by the Dolphins, who everyone said wouldn't barely win a game in round 1. But let's talk about the game specifically. As I said, shocking call. And I know some people don't like this, but I actually liked hearing Ashley Klein talk to Tedesco because it humanises him. And when you hear him talk, you're like even though he made a shocking call, you're still like, oh, you can tell he's like, oh, damn, I made that. And you do feel something for him. You're like, mate, he is getting absolutely pizzled from pillar to post. And I get it's no comfort for Roosters fans. But it's one of those things where at least when you hear him talk, you can hear, I guess, the regret or him being honest and saying, look, I just call it as I see it. So, shocking call. It isn't acceptable in regards to if a player made a similar error, like as bad as that in a key moment, you would say, his position the next week should be questioned. And that's fair. That's part of the process. But I do, hearing Klein, it is hard for me to go too hard on Ashley Klein when, these things, it's a terrible call. The review will take care of itself. Should he be, let's say the grand final was next week, that, in my opinion, would probably rub him out of the ability to do that because of the error. What do you boys think?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I just feel sorry for him.
I feel sorry for him as well. And I think the reality of it is that, you're going to have human error in these things sometimes. And it quite often shits me when I think about, when we get errors like this and, everyone wants more cameras, more replays, more, technology being more part of it. I would rather us lean towards the side of just having human error. And it is what it is. Roosters fans will be upset. I get it. Yes, that call went against you, but your team made 10 errors. You missed 30 tackles. If your backyard is perfect, 100% go after the ref. But I personally don't think that decided this game.
What do you reckon?
To answer your question of if the grand final was next week, would that cost him a spot? If the NRL had him touted as the grand final referee, then I think absolutely it should not cost him his spot. Mate, they're human beings, referees. They make mistakes.
That's pretty bad, though. It
was a bad mistake. Ashley Klein knows it was a bad mistake. Mistakes happen. It was one shocker. But far out. When has a referee ever gone week in, week out and doesn't make a mistake? There's not a referee in the game right now who hasn't made a mistake this year. It's just it's one mistake.
I'm with you, but I just think that there are levels of mistakes. Not all mistakes are equal. And my concern with that one is, and look, and I also, one thing I want to be clear is what the hell were the touchies doing?
That's what I mean. He's not the only one out there.
So he's not the only one out there. The concern I have, and as I said, I do feel sorry for Ashley Klein because he's just getting smashed. But that's not on the level of most mistakes, ones where let's say he was on the other side of the ball. Let's say he was behind Harry Grant. Then you'd be like, bad angle. Yeah. That's a mistake that I think falls in the category of acceptable. Whereas where I go, this is a bit different to your normal mistakes, is he was right there looking at the ball. And that's where I go, that is such, it's almost like a player showboating to score a match-winning try and dropping the ball.
But if he's deemed to be the best referee all year, does one mistake go, all right, well, you've been the best over 31 rounds of footy.
I don't think anyone's that clear out though.
No, and then I don't love talking about refs at the best of times, and I don't follow refs close enough to say he should be the grand final. He shouldn't be. But if the NRL think he is, then I don't think one decision in the heat of the moment should undo all his good work this season. I'm not saying he's the man for the job.
I don't know if it was one though, like there was the head high on Harry Grant they didn't want to call. I didn't think it was a hip drop, but you could argue it was a hip drop.
In which case, if there was numerous, fine. But going off one call...
And I'm not saying you wouldn't select him, but I am saying in the review process... I do think they're going to look at that and be like, mate, there were a few calls here. And then you obviously got, you could argue the Jackie Whiten one didn't get sent for 10 or sent off. Like, you know what I mean? So, as I said, I feel sorry for Ashley Klein. Human error happens. And I think that as a game, we need to be way more forgiving of the human error between certain points. Like, let's say there's a kind of acceptable human error, and then there's an unacceptable, and I do think that was an unacceptable one. Not to say that he should never ref again or that he should be like getting the abuse that he's getting. That's ridiculous. Like, we all have howlers. How many times have we seen, even this year, blokes not scoring tries because they couldn't just put the ball down? So it happens to everyone. But I do think this does fall into the category of unacceptable mistake compared to, let's just say, the Harry Grant one, for example. And that would be a mistake, but that's one where I go, you know what? He was probably thinking of it along the lines of, yes, he got head high, but we know he's okay. He's not dazed. He didn't affect the play. He was going to get tackled anyway. It's a huge moment. Let's just keep the ball rolling. It's tough.
It's tough, but I mean, at the same time, like, there's a lot of controversy this week. Jeez, if Warbrick didn't score that try, could you imagine?
Yeah.
Like, especially after, that head high tackle that they didn't have a look at, which I agree with you. I hate that that's a penalty in rugby league.
But it is.
But it has been for 30 weeks.
It is. And that's where I do feel sorry for Ashley Klein, because you could tell he was going like, oh, well, I did kind of make a poor call against the Roosters. I mean, look, this is all assumptions. I don't want to say that he definitely was thinking this, but I'll just put myself in that position. If I made that poor call and then that happened to Harry Grant, there would be a part of me that would be like, I can't give that to them after what I did earlier in the game. Needs to even it up a bit. Anyway, it's enough to talk about it. It was a shocking call. We all agree. But abusing refs, and I just think we're getting into a point where we're creating an environment where we're going to have no refs. We're going to have no refs.
Well, mate, in junior grades, we already have that environment. And people that aren't out on the ground don't see that. But you quite often, we had my team had a prelim final to get into a grand final a few years ago. We didn't have touchies. Not enough refs around. Like, that is ridiculous getting to that point when you're at, 16s, under 17s football to get into a grand final and there's not enough refs to have a touch judge.
Yeah.
Like, and the referee we had on that field was younger than the kids that were playing.
Yeah.
Like, it is wild out there.
Yeah. So you can critique refs like we do on this, show. Maybe too much, maybe not enough. You can critique Klein's error. And I'm sure he would also admit that, yes, it should be critiqued. But there's a difference between that and abuse, guys. It is ridiculous to abuse him for one call, but not that you should abuse anyone. But if you got any anger, it should be at drop balls, missed tackles, fucking so many things you could look at rather than that one mistake by the referee. Yep. So I just hope that people just relax a little bit on the chat around the ref, because it's been like 2 refs in like 5 years that have quit because of the environment now, like 2 NRL refs now.
Yep. And I reckon that there would be more.
And there's also a ref's got I think it's his son. He actually said, mate, he put him into AFL reffing because he didn't want him coming up through this environment.
Yeah, and that's the exact point. You've said it. Guru said it really well with the junior side of things. We need to encourage the future referees of the game, because we're going to run out of them if we keep carrying on like we do to them currently.
I don't know about you guys, but for me, like, if my son or daughter wanted to ref, I'd go, no, I don't think so. I would push them away from it 100%, because I've seen what it's like out there. And this is even at first grade level. This is just on the weekend. Like, it's,
pressure on them, like it.
Yeah. So, as I said, it's okay to say wrong call, really poor error, but leave it at there. He's not the reason that the Roosters lost that game. No. He's not the reason that the Roosters lost that game.
They had more line breaks. They had 8 more offload. They doubled their offload tally. They had every chance to win it. It's like, come on.
Yeah, and if the coach is saying that's not the reason, then it's not the reason. Let's get to the specific performances. We'll go Roosters first, and then we'll go Storm. Roosters. I actually thought, even though statistically Teddy was quite good, I do think he did fall a little bit back into the bad habit of run first instead of looking for the pass sometimes. And I get it, he's a run first player, but there were at least, I think, 2 times where if he had to just put it through the hands, probably, well, they go very close to scoring at the least. So even though I thought he played solidly, I do think that he's got to try to find that balance in big games when he does get that higher emotion and he wants to make impact, which is good. That's what makes Teddy literally one of the greatest fullbacks of all time. But there were certain moments where it's like, you just let go of the ball. Just let it go.
Part of me wants to, give a little credit to James Tedesco because the centres and the outside backs were the guys that aren't normally there and they are reserve grade players. But we've seen this a number of times this year. If it was the first time we'd seen it, maybe I'd be like, okay, maybe he doesn't have total trust in these other guys. But, I mean, we've seen him do it in State of Origin this year with the best of the best outside him. So I definitely think it is something that Teddy will look at over this off-season. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of a player Teddy returns next year.
Yeah.
He's going to... It sounds like Mal Meninga's going to pick him at fullback for the Kangaroos. So,
Is he really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, you said he's our captain.
Yeah.
So he's basically pick and captain.
So, yeah, big 12 months for Teddy coming up. Huge 12 months.
Yeah, I think if I'm Teddy in the off-season, mate, all I'm working on is ball playing. That's all I'm working. Like, we know he's literally one of the greatest ball-running fullbacks we've ever seen. Who am I to say fucking what Teddy should do? But, if I were to give my opinion, it would be like, I would just be working purely... Like, look at the top-tier fullbacks right now, Reece Walsh, Kalen Ponga. What do they have that Teddy doesn't have in the modern game? It's that incredible ball playing. That Teddy, even though Teddy, he does have it, because we've seen it plenty of times, but it would just be about picking their moments. And look, in Teddy's defence, like, it's one okay year in 5 unbelievable years.
Yeah, it's just remarkable to see how quickly his ball playing has gone downhill. Like, it was good last year. 2 years ago, it was exceptional. And his ability to, sum up that 3v2. How many times do we, in the last 3, 4, 5 years, has there just been highlight reel after highlight reel of just Teddy sweeping and finding Daniel Tupou? And this year it just fell off a cliff, and I've no idea why, but a big part of it is something we've spoken about all year, and that is just the spine not gelling together. They've been clunky all season, but even when he's been put in that position, just cannot find it.
Well, there was one where I think it was an offload from maybe Lindsay Collins or whatever, and he just dummied and went himself, and like there was a massive, like it wasn't even an out the back play. It was just purely, and I was just like, man, that's so uncommon. Like Teddy doesn't usually, like this year he's been doing it. And look, we sound super harsh because he didn't play bad at all. He played quite solidly. But
the one you always say, Kempy, the tippity top standards.
Yeah,
and Teddy
absolutely
plays next to no bad games in his career.
Yeah.
So when he's a little bit off, you're just like, where'd that come from?
Yep. And he's the guy that's gonna, if they're gonna win, he needs to be the guy that helps it. So there was that, as I said, there were a few times where I was like, he just fell back into that kind of habit of thinking he needs to do it all himself, which is what has made him so great and one of the GOATs at fullback. But it just didn't seem to be clicking at times on the weekend. And in his defence, as you said, Guru, maybe it was the fact that he had outside backs that he hadn't played much rugby league with this year. That could have been the reason. By no means did he play poorly at all. I mean, 24 runs, 234 metres, 6 tackle breaks, 3 offloads, 8 tackles, no misses. So, like, he didn't play poorly at all. But by his lofty, lofty standards, I think, put it this way, peak Teddy, he's hitting the right man every time.
Yep,
every time.
Sure.
I'll let you go. Who stood out for you, Guru?
Mate, I was going to mention your mate, Terrell May, but I might wait for you to talk about him. I thought Sandon Smith, when he came on the field,
Mate.
They do not win last week against the Sharks if he's not playing. He came up with a couple of very big plays in that game last week. And then, mate, when he came on the field in this game, he just turned it on its head. Scooted from dummy half, put the big left foot on. I think it was Nelson, left him for dead, found Radley, and then, a really good sign of good ball players. He just knew that when they're on the front foot, he had to go again. Got up and, mate, that pass that he threw to Lindsay Collins, that was incredible.
Well, Robbo said something really good in the press conference. He was like, a few weeks ago, he was almost waiting, like Sandon Smith was almost waiting and just kind of floating across field to wait for Cleary and Butcher to do, like basically he was there just to give the ball to them and what they wanted. He said it's only been the last few weeks where he's seen Sandon Smith be brave enough to just do it himself. And he was so stoked for Sandon Smith that, like, that's a huge gutsy play to just go bang over the top. Like that's a risky pass to Lindsay Collins.
14 minutes to go in a game. You come on as a hooker, playing out of position, having played halfback for what I know his entire career. The vision he had for that pass was set a 20-year-old. Was incredible. As you said, Kempy, he's thrown that over about 4 blokes. Any one of them could have snapped that up, run the field, and this bloke's like, just confidence is shattered for a long time to come. But he went for it, nailed it off the back of his lineup. So he backed up that play. That was one of the most... That was an incredible finals play that will probably be forgotten about because they got beaten in this game. But that pass was sensational.
Now, just to interrupt, we'll get to we'll speak about it more later, but there's a bit of breaking news that is seismic.
Yeah, a bit of breaking news. I'm sure you guys, by the time you're listening / watching this, you'll probably have more information than us. But Penrith Panther star halfback Nathan Cleary has been sent to hospital for scans, sending a scare through the club. As reported by News Corp, it is understood that Cleary suffered a finger injury at training and was sent to the hospital to undergo scans on the severity of the injury.
Oh, thank God you said finger. I thought it was going to be like a hammy or something.
No.
Mate, finger they can just strap her up and get there, but still ball playing hand.
Yeah.
If it is the ball playing hand, like as in his strong right hand.
Interesting.
That is like to get the boys G'd up for Melbourne Storm. That is huge news because like I think the Melbourne Storm they just need a bit of hope at the moment. Even though like I'm not being disrespectful when I say that, but it just feels when you watch Storm play, they're just hanging on by a thread, just by pure grit. But you give them a bit of fire under their belly, and they go, "Oh, hang on a sec, Cleary might be injured. He might be on here, boys."
That's huge.
That's rugby league for you.
Well, you boys have been the same. You get asked every single week, can anyone beat Penrith? Can anyone beat Penrith? And I'm sitting here going, my response every time is Brisbane potentially, but in my eyes for a long time it's been probably not come grand final. But I follow that up with every time with if anything happens to Nathan Cleary, it just changes the entire competition.
Mate, what could have happened? The scans, like, is it a little dislocated finger and they just sent him just to be sure? Because like a dislocated doesn't matter. Fuck, pop it back in.
Back in that train, you got physios, doctors there.
Yeah,
whatever.
you'd be sweet. You can dislocate it in a game and play.
Go to hospital.
Like bloody Munster played with a compound fracture. You know, so it's huge news though, because like at hospital.
Imagine them going into a preliminary final with Jack Cogger and
Luai.
No, well, if Luai's good to go.
Yeah, if he's good to go. Well, he'll be. There's a chance he may pop it out again. It's been like what 3 weeks, dislocated shoulder.
Wow.
Yeah. Holy, could you imagine? I will say, as a Broncos fan, I want Cleary to play though, because I would hate to get to a grand final and let's say we do beat the Warriors hopefully this weekend, and then we got to a grand final against maybe Melbourne or Penrith, and then people are like, oh yeah, but Cleary was injured. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I'd take the win any day of the week.
You're a way better bloke than me, Kempy. If that's me in the Rage in a prelim and we're looking like playing the Panthers grand final, Cleary is down, I'm going, wonderful news.
Oh, I want to beat their best side though.
Oh, of course you want to, but
take it when you can get them.
Mate.
Yeah, that is huge news, Guru. We'll get to it later in the show. Back on the Roosters. Yeah, I mean, we spoke about a bit about it earlier. Terrell May, absolutely outstanding. 56 minutes, 18 runs, 131 metres, 6 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, 45 tackles with 0 misses. In a game as gritty and grindy as that's nothing short of incredible.
He's going to absolutely explode next year, isn't he?
I cannot wait for him to get, like, he is going to, because, like, you can see his physique and how big he is and strong he is. As he just gets more used to the pace of the game and everything, he's just going to be able to pick his moments even better every time.
He's such a good, like, to have a front row forward with footwork like that, I think it's so underrated. And I think it's been something that the Roosters have really struggled with since they lost Takiaho.
Yeah.
They've really struggled to fill that void, and geez, early signs over the last few weeks, this guy looks like he could be one of the better forwards in rugby league. If he keeps this up and just like the footwork, the offload, he's just got everything they need. You pair him up with a Lindsay Collins, a very different footballer. Very nice match there.
Mate, Lindsay Collins is fast becoming a big game front rower.
Yes.
It is unbelievable the moments he has. Yeah. Like even that cutout pass from Sandon Smith, to have the grit, the guts, but also the standards as a frontie to go, oh yeah, I'm going to be pushing up on a play like I'm a freaking 6 or a 7. Like he had no right to be pushing up like that. No right. We're talking about a front rower here pushing up as if he's a fullback.
Well, it's funny you say that. If you go watch that play again and you watch him out wide getting himself ready, he's next to James Tedesco. He identifies it before Teddy does. Watch their body language. You literally see him identify what's going on before Teddy does. And Teddy's only half a second behind him, but he identifies the space and where he needs to be.
Far
Incredible.
out. That's amazing. Lindsay Collins has been nothing short of phenomenal at the end of the year. Like, some of the plays he's come up with, and then you add in, it's all the little things he does as well, the line speed, the tough carries, like that's a given. But then you add on to it these huge impactful plays. I mean, wasn't he chasing against the Sharks? Didn't he do it? So he came on the field, they made a break, and he chased it and tackled the guy that made the break.
And it was completely forgotten about because then Teddy was at first marker and he got sin-bin. And that took all the attention away from it.
But it was Lindsay Collins coming off the bench, steaming down the edge there for a try-saving tackle.
And even like the amount of times you see him, do that same thing. He might not make the tackle, but he forces the player infield or he forces them into contact somewhere else. He's got a lot of these moments in his game now where you watch the replay and you go, fuck, what's he doing there? Why is he there?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Man, I'll never forget a few years ago when I was like, I think that Lindsay Collins will play Origin this year. There's quite a few people that were like, he's this, he's that, like just talking nonsense. And now you look at him and you go, mate, like he's almost the first pick for Queensland in the forward pack.
I'll never forget, there was a game that when you were going through your really dark period, 2020, was it? And the Roosters absolutely gave it to you, and he scored a try in a game. And I remember a lot of people were praising him like crazy. And a lot of people said after that, it might have been a similar time, he'll play Origin. I just remember sitting there going, fuck, he scored a try. Calm down.
Yeah.
Like, I hadn't seen it yet. And mate, even at the start before this Origin series, I sat down, I was sort of going through my Queensland Maroons team.
Welsh or Collins, yeah.
And I was going, well, maybe Collins will make it. I'm not sure. Now, he'd be my first pick, and he'd be my first pick for the Blues if I could too.
Mate, he's almost, not almost, but he's absolutely pushed himself into, he's an Origin player.
Yeah.
He's an Origin front rower. He's a guy that's going to, because like the middle of the year, Billy Slater has, not famously, but he said, I know a lot of people are, I guess, negative about the way the Roosters are playing, but if you watch specifically Lindsay Collins, he's been doing this all year long. You haven't seen it, hasn't been working as a team. I mean, Billy's, eye for talent is bloody.
Isn't rugby league amazing that, I can sit there and watch a game with my mates and hear the comments they say and just go, fuck, it's like people just see the game so differently. Then you get a mind like Billy Slater.
Yeah.
Who just sees the game within the game within the game. And there's just so many levels to it. It's unbelievable.
Yep. Who stood out for you?
I loved, and over the last 2 weeks, Sammy Walker's field goals in big moments. This is a very young bloke in the early stage of his career who got dropped earlier this season. And again, it'll probably be a little bit forgotten due to the fact the Roosters got done in this game in the end. But snapped field goals with 9 minutes to go and 7 minutes to go in the last 2 weeks. One of them got him across the line. The other one fell agonisingly short of doing it, but nailed them both when people around him and more experienced halves failed to do the same thing. Pretty special from Sammy Walker to do this 2 weeks on the trot. And I was looking at the mechanics of the Sammy hitting them, and Sammy's got a ways to go in his general kicking game. He's a bit of a funny kicking style, but his field goals, he snaps them so quickly. Yeah. And when the defence rushes up on him, he hits them so quickly. I spent Friday night after a couple little cheeky beers watching, as most Blues fans do, just watching old Joey Johns highlights from Origin. And I went back and saw a few of the field goals he hit. And there was a game in 03, I think it was game one, he snapped one with about 6 or 7 minutes to go. And I'm just watching this master at work. And Joey, for that field goal, went to the line. He had to run inside and run outside him. So he had options that, firstly, are going to hold up the defence and put them in about 2 minds. But if they do really rush on him, he can hit someone inside or out who are going to have a spot to run there and a gap in behind the defensive line. But Joey snapped them so quickly. Didn't have a chance to charge the little bastard down. And I've watched other players in the NRL this season and even more recently over the final series that hit them, and it's a really slow process of catching, dropping, hitting the ball and that. But going back to it, Sammy Walker, he hits them so quickly.
And to add to your point, if you go back and watch that, he actually changed the way he hit it. He almost dinked it up and over to decrease the chances of a charge down.
He did the same last week. It went really high,
Yeah.
like not the flat one where it's going 2 meters over the bar, flat and fast, going over.
Mate, and like that's a decision by Sammy Walker to go, I'm going to decrease the chances of them getting, they basically need to be over the ball to charge it down. Whereas when you hit it flat and hard, you can almost be 2 or 3 meters away.
Heaps more chance.
And you've got a chance of getting it down. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was one thing I want to emphasise, that the way he kicked that ball on the weekend was on purpose.
Oh.
There was no accident. I heard, I had a lot of people on social media comment on my stuff, sort of saying, "Oh, it was lucky it floated over." Oh, come on.
No.
That's why in commentary, Joey, Freddie, none of them commented that. They knew that he was doing it all on purpose.
Yeah, so good. So year's done and dusted for the Roosters. We'll obviously do a season review, guys, so don't worry. We'll go deep dive into their season. But although still a disappointing season, there's a lot to take away from, I reckon, in regards to culture, in regards to standard. We'll go on a deeper dive. But I felt that even though they were nowhere near as good as we know they can be, they represented their jersey with pride when it mattered this year.
If you had to give their season like a ranking out of 10, I'm not sure if I've ever seen a team before that I could equally see people giving them a 4 as I could see people giving them a 7.
Yeah.
And I could understand both arguments.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll do all that in the season review, guys. Now, onto the Storm. They are just phenomenal. Like, how do they do it? Where watching that game, they had no right to win that game. They were getting completely dominated basically through the ruck for long periods, except for maybe the start of the game. Roosters withstood a lot of the pressure early on and then completely flipped it on them. And yet, for all money, with 10 to go, Roosters it was done. It was done. Roosters have gone down and they've won it. And somehow, some way, it's almost like the inverse of Penrith to a degree, where Penrith sometimes you play them and you look up at the score at 20 minutes and, you're 16 points down. You're going, how the hell did that happen? Storm are like, you look up at the score and like, Storm are still in the game. How the hell are they still in the game? That's what looked like it on the weekend. And what I loved about the Storm is when the game was just ratcheting up, pressure increasing. The two blokes that got their hands on the ball were Harry Grant and Cam Munster. It's just an amazing feat by Storm. The fact that they're in a prelim with how well they were playing, over the last probably 6 weeks or whatever, is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I thought Harry Grant, he was tremendous in this one. And, I personally thought Harry Grant, his game last week, I thought that was the worst of his career. I genuinely did. I've obviously watched a lot of Harry Grant, and I was so disappointed with that performance in a big game last week. He was just so far off his game. But to bounce back with that performance there, and this one meant a lot to him against Brandon Smith, I reckon. Yeah. For sure. And you saw Cheese crash over just before halftime, which was a huge play in this game. The way that Harry responded, just unbelievable. I thought that try that he set up for Seve, just got the offload. And it's really simple. It was 2 on 3, but he thought quick, he played slow, and he just handled that moment perfectly. And it's, he didn't reinvent the wheel. But how often do you see guys fuck up plays like that?
A lot of players dummy there, go themselves and get held up by a scrambling fullback coming across or whoever it might be. And he summed it up perfectly.
Yeah. Mate, yeah, Harry Grant, he was outstanding. And, you love to see that from a superstar player like Harry Grant. You love to see that it means something to him still. You can get caught up in played for Queensland, played for your country. But at the end of the day, what really matters is, are you happy with the effort you put in last week in that 80 minutes? And you could tell Harry Grant was disappointed with the way he played against the Brisbane Broncos. And there's no way that the Storm are in this game if Harry Grant aren't playing. There's not even close.
Came on, as we said earlier in the show, changed the game. Had the try assist, had that stunning line break where I think it was Eisenhuth got tackled off the back of it. But, he also took that run before Munster had the crossfield kick, flew from dummy half, had 3 blokes on him, somehow managed to get a lethal quick play the ball away. She had 3 big blokes on him, just wrestled his way out, got rid of it, gave Munster time to get the kick away.
Yep. Mate, yeah, Harry Grant was outstanding. Another bloke I want to give a shout out to, Nick Meaney. It's funny because how often on this show do I always talk about, hey, defence is 50% of the game, guys. It's not just all about attack. You need to give credit to defensive plays as much as you give to attacking plays. And even I got caught up in getting last week where I was like, look, I didn't say Fa'alongo should definitely be selected, but there was a part of me that was like, they need some points. They need a player that can do something crazy, something big, and Fa'alongo might be that guy. And I do think Bellamy may have been leaning towards that because Fa'alongo was in the extended bench, correct?
Yeah.
So he was there or thereabouts. And I reckon Bellamy did sit down and think about it and go, do I need to have a player to be able to inject to get a bit... Anyway.
I recall last week, and Matty will be able to bring up the tape, but Kempy, you saying that if Bellamy doesn't go far longer fullback over Meany, that they might have to go in a different direction with Bellamy next year. that's what I recall.
Wow. One of your best, Timmy. One of your best, mate. How dare you, sir? But I want to say with Nick Meany is he played exactly the way you would hope a player would play like him to justify selecting a player like him in a big game. Because if you put a rookie in that position, he's not I don't think he's going to be able to do what Nick Meany did. His defensive high bombs were nothing short of extraordinary. Like the amount of times, these weren't easy catches where there's no pressure, he doesn't have to jump. These were tough as anything catches. And if he drops them, the amount of pressure that's put on his forward pack, his teammates, is huge. I thought Meany was outstanding, and he proved why he'd have to be in the top 3 players of the year for the Melbourne Storm. If not, he may even take player of the year. As I said, does he have that crazy play like Pappy or Fa'alongo or Munster or whatever? No, maybe not. But rugby league's about more than those crazy plays, and Nick Meany is evidence of that. He's been super consistent, always done his job, and on the weekend, he delivered tenfold for the Storm.
It's a cracking performance that you can't see in stats.
Yeah.
188 metres, 56 post-contact, not bad. But as you said, you get to that kick defusal, 8.
8, and they were
moments
tough.
That he came up with there. Yeah.
I mean, like let's say 8. There's at least one try in there that he saved by going 8 from 8.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of, and for Penrith fans out there and Warriors fans, don't get your knickers in a knot, because I'm not saying these blokes are all on the exact same level, but just that mould of Dylan Edwards and Chan to Nickel Cookstad, who they probably don't have the big highlights, real moments. They all have the occasional one, but they're so reliable. Defensively, they're so good. There's a line break. They're there backing up. They're always in the position they need to be in. This like a coach's dream.
Well, doesn't he represent where the Storm are at right now? Like, okay, Nick Meany, there was a period where he kind of bounced around a few clubs, and is he a first grader? Is he not a first grader? Gets down to the Melbourne Storm, fully commits to the system, and he's fast becoming a player that, let's say you do have guys like Pappy or Fa'alongo, explode. I feel like Bellamy just can't not have him in the 17. He's the kind of guy that you go, look, does he fit somewhere on the bench? Well, technically not really, but he represents what the Storm's all about, and that's hard work and buying into the system.
He'll be in there without a doubt.
Yeah, somewhere.
I don't know where, or don't really care where, he'll be there.
Yeah, he'll be there, and each week he'll do a job, he'll cover a certain position. As I said, I last week I didn't say Fa'alongo should definitely take his spot, but I'm more of, do you consider getting a guy that has maybe a try or two in him to get those points that seem to be hard to come by?
Could Fa'alongo be that X factor to take him to, to knock off a Penrith Panthers?
Exactly. But, the way he played on the weekend, for every try that Pappy or Fa'alongo scored from a line break, he saved 2 of them with his incredible defensive defusal. So I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah, he was great. Mate, I thought that Trent Leary was very good as well. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I've never been able to get it down pat. But yeah, I thought he was very, very solid. There was a moment late in the game where was it him that the potential hip drop happened to? I think it was late in the game when
he
cut back in field. Anyway, there was a moment where he went down in this game, and for a guy that he hasn't been an absolute superstar this year, but God, he's been solid for Melbourne. And I think that if he would have gone down, that would have left a huge hole for them next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's another guy against the Broncos, unfortunately just got bashed. And again, you always want to see, how do you respond? Everyone can have, not the best games, but what separates, NRL players from, not NRL players is how do you respond in the next big game? I agree with you. Trent Leoro, he was really good. And again, he represents that Storm mentality of okay, maybe I'm not Katoa on the other edge that can do crazy stuff, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to give absolutely everything I can for this jersey. I thought he was really, really good.
I reckon. I remember when you talk to people from down there in Melbourne in the preseason, he was the name that was popping out everywhere. Every single time you hear, he was the name. So I'm very keen to see him with another big preseason under his belt. How he goes next year. I thought the halfback Wishart, he was Tremendous. That first try he scored. Did you see that image of him playing for Gerringong when he was a kid scoring a try?
Yep.
Exactly the same as him playing for Melbourne. So good. I had his old man, Rod, who's obviously a champion player, Illawarra Steeler, St George Dragon, Kangaroo, New South Wales, on the podcast about 18 months ago. And his young bloke had just signed to go to Melbourne. And I remember I said to him, I go, mate, what position is he? And he sort of said, I don't know. I don't think he knows. I don't think Craig Bellamy knows. But Craig Bellamy knows that he's got something to offer. And, geez, wasn't it great to see that moment? You know, coming in to replace Jerome Hughes in a sudden death final. And, you know, he didn't just play a role. Right? He scored the first try. He was the one calling for the field goal late in the game. As much as it was a shocking field goal, shout out to Tui that got a clobbering in the back of the head. But he wanted the ball in key moments.
He popped that offload for the second try, for Seve's second try as well.
Yeah, he came up with a couple of big tackles too, big defensive plays. So shout out to Wishy, great to see.
Yeah,
he's an interesting one next year. Like you spoke about Meaney there and finding a spot for him. Yeah, Meaney covers, you know, the majority of the back line and what a good 14 he could be. But Tyrone Wishart, like seriously, he can cover and has covered 1 to 7 and 9 and probably 13 at a pinch as well. Like, he's an ultimate number 14, and now he's got a big game performance under his belt.
Yeah. Yeah, to come in like that, and before it, I was like, I think Harry Grant's going to play a lot of 7 because I just didn't think Wishart was a 7, really. And then, again, it's just that incredible Storm attitude of it's not really about talent, although they've got talent, they've got plenty of talent, but it's just about having a dig. Yep. And that's what he did. He just had a fucking red-hot crack. Like, even the try he scored, was that a traditional 7 try? No, that was just a bloke looking up and going, you know what, I'm going to fucking have a crack here and score a try in a fucking final series.
It's interesting too, you know, they obviously had Jonah Bissett in the squad as well that they could have gone for, and they went for Wishart. So throughout the year, Bissett's sort of been the guy they've gone for, but obviously big game. Craig Bellamy, he knew what he was doing.
Like it is insane. Once again, the Storm are in a prelim. Like, how? How do they do it? I need to know. It is nothing, like there's no words to describe it. I don't think people realise how incredible this is, what they're doing right now. Like, you look at this roster, and it's not disrespectful. It's actually impressed. Like, and this is all better players than I ever was, but this is not a roster that, you know, like they didn't have Hughes. And I know the Roosters were missing some people too, but the Storm didn't go into this year with this crazy roster, everything working for them. I think it's amazing what they're doing. I really, really do.
And I mean, if you were to take, you know, a top 5 halfback, is that fair?
Yeah.
In the game?
Yeah.
And realistically, a top 5 fullback in the game out of this team, still got to a prelim?
Yeah, it's absolutely... I mean, like, it was only, a year ago that Hughes was a top 2 halfback. You know, he was just behind Cleary when you looked at statistically and the way the Storm were playing. Pappy, before his injury last year, was, you know, via the news, I never agree with it, but was putting pressure on Teddy for his spot. Not to say that I don't think Pappy wouldn't go well in New South Wales. I just thought that Teddy had been so good for so long that his spot shouldn't be up for question. Yeah.
I was very happy to see Olam back as well.
Yeah, I was really happy with him.
Surprised me how long he was out of this side. When he got dropped a few weeks ago, I thought, okay, this will be a week or two, then he'll be back in. They got to finals footy and weren't picking him.
Yeah.
I could, and you know, obviously Craig Bellamy, he's forgotten more than I know, but I was very, very shocked that he wasn't in this team earlier, and yeah, he came in and did a good job. I thought Remus Smith, you know, the stat sheet isn't fantastic. There was a couple of times where there was loose balls on the ground and everything, and he fought for them.
Yeah, yeah. Showed more want than his opposition, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, what is there to say about the Storm? Every year they do something, like they just show you why that organisation is something special. That, you know, when Bellamy moves on or whatever, and we see all that happen, I guess just appreciate it while it's here, because this is what rugby league's about. It's about having a go, ripping in and tearing for your mates and for the jersey that you wear. And the Storm, you know, I know they're easy to hate, and I get it. You know, they're so successful. That's what we do. We hate the successful sides, but you got to respect this incredible side. I don't hate them. I think they're fantastic. But if you do, you got to respect what they're doing. You got to.
There was one guy in this team as well, Josh King, I want to talk about. He had 2 bad drop balls, but credit to him. Like, as soon as he knocked on the first one, I just thought, I've never seen Josh King do that. Yeah. I've just never seen him make an unforced error like that. He came up with a second one in this game as well, but it sort of made me reflect on, how good has his season been? Granted, that was probably his worst performance, but it stood out to me straight away. I was like, fuck, this guy never makes a mistake.
I know. and they still just find a way.
Yeah.
They just find a way. Alrighty, don't forget, before we get into the next game, you can follow and watch these games all on 9 Now. Make sure to watch semi-finals on 9 Now, well, prelim finals on 9 Now. The best commentators and analysts. Also on 9 Now this week, on New South Wales Cup Grand Final between North Sydney Bears versus South Sydney Rabbitohs at 3 p.m. Also on 9 Now are the NRLW semi-finals on Sunday. I forgot to say at the start, I think next year we're going to do a competition for the best sign of the year, best fan sign of the year, and reward the punters that love rugby league, but also put up the signs, create the signs. So I just thought I'd let you know now so that obviously next year you're prepared for it. But I think next season we're going to do, it might be a monthly thing, it might be a yearly thing, but we're going to give prizes to the best fans of the month, of the year, whatever it is. Because there's some, New Zealand always have the best bloody signs. Always have the best signs. So we thought we'd reward some people with some great that do those great signs. And also they're the true diehards of rugby league. If you're rolling in with a cool sign, makes it a good experience for everyone else. So just so everyone knows that. Let's get into it. Warriors defeat the Knights 40-10. Yes, I read that right. I know people that have fallen asleep for 2023 and they just woke up and they heard that and they said, bullshit, Kempy. No, that is right. The New Zealand Warriors, in an elimination, second week of the finals, have defeated the Knights at home 40-10. It's one of the great moments for New Zealand Rugby League. They've been through so much over the last few years. For them to come out and do that with the weight of expectation that they had on them is nothing short of amazing. And I understand that they're going up against it at Suncorp Stadium. But what I will say is regardless of the result, and they definitely, absolutely can beat the Broncos up at Suncorp Stadium. But regardless of the result, whether they win or lose, don't let that take away from what they achieved this year and what they gave the New Zealand public, that performance at Mount Smart, is it One Media or Go Media Stadium now? Don't let that take away from what an incredible night that was.
Yeah, mate, shout out to the New Zealand Warriors fans, who obviously the team's been through a lot, but so have they. I mean, they didn't get any rugby league for 2 years, and the atmosphere, I thought, and you were obviously out there, you spoke about it, like Newcastle last week looked incredible. This one wasn't too far off. You could hear it through your TV set.
Mate, they were singing, na, 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 yeah, goodbye. Like, the whole crowd was singing that. That's so freaking good. I mean, it's not if you're a Knights fan, but if you're a rugby league, like when was the last time you heard a crowd singing, na, 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 goodbye? It's so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Like, that is amazing. It's such a good night. It's so important for rugby league in New Zealand as well to have a night like this to get, remind them of, I know that they're, well, you could make arguments they're bigger than rugby union because of the ratings or whatever, but I know they're not as big as union in New Zealand, but they're pretty damn good. And when they have nights like this is how they could eventually compete with rugby union, is if they continue to have dominant performances and seasons like they've had in 2023.
And the beauty of it is as well, Kempy, is that it shows that, while the Rugby World Cup's on and the All Blacks obviously playing, such a massive thing there, while rugby league may never be as big as rugby union over there, it shows how well the two can coexist. And while union will likely always be number one there can still be this legion of Warriors fans and selling out stadiums and having this mass support, which is so important for the game.
Oh, it's so good for the game. And, that's the thing, union and league, I know they're different sports, but they've got so much in common that you almost want them to peacefully coexist in New Zealand. But, yeah, absolutely amazing performance. I mean, we've got to talk about him. We've already spoken about him. But I just think, okay, if I said to you at the start of this year, cometh the man, cometh the hour, would Sean Johnson's name come to your head?
Mate, I'm so embarrassed to admit it, but I wasn't sure if Sean Johnson would see out this season.
I agree.
I really wasn't.
I agree. I wasn't sure whether he would be their best halfback at the club.
Yep.
Let alone cometh the man, cometh the hour, cometh the man. Cometh the man, cometh the hour? Either one, whatever it is.
Whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you. You can use whatever you want. As I said in the team of the week, I am just shocked at how much ice was in his veins. I cannot believe that he came out and the first 20 minutes was the most cool, calm, collected we've seen SJ in his whole career. And he did it with the entire nation on his back. Like, think about the pressure SJ has, because the problem is he's had the season that he's had. If he comes out and has a shocker, everyone goes, oh, yeah, That's the SJ we know. Yeah, of course. He comes out and we all get behind him and he lets us down. Even though he's had a Dally M level year, that will just be forgotten about. So the pressure going into that game, especially with a calf injury, for him to deliver the way he has delivered, I mean, he is fast. I guess you have to put him in one of the greatest New Zealand Rugby League players of all time. He's I know you've got Stacey Jones. You got obviously, Benji Marshall. You've got some incredible New Zealand Rugby League players, but he's got to be up there.
I was listening to Matty Johns over the weekend, and I think that they were doing a topic on their podcast of the teams that are left, which players from that current team would make the best 17 ever for that club. And he got to the Warriors, and he said, SJ, Stacey, don't know which one I'd go, and he said, if SJ wins a Dally M medal in 2 weeks' time, he's my halfback.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like, you think he's been to a grand final. He's taken his team to a prelim when no one thought they would. Like, it's a record that rivals any past Warriors player.
Yeah.
It really does. As I said, I'm just so impressed. What do you think, Timmy?
Very much so, mate. So exciting. And look, the preview will come after this, but things have set up well for them, mate. Like, there's no reason why they can't rattle the Broncos and give them a shake-up next week. They're coming into this with barely an injury on their roster. They've obviously got Metcalf, but they were saying that Tamari Martin was going to play for him anyway earlier on or back into the season. So, and the way SJ's pulling the strings, and you can look back at the Panthers a couple of weeks ago, and would he have changed that game? Well, probably not. But there's something special about what they're doing there. They've got all the ingredients. They've got the pack. They've got SJ pulling the strings. Everyone's buying into it. They've got a fit roster. Dare to dream, because they could be in a grand final in a week's time.
Warriors absolutely could beat the Broncos because, put it this way, let's say Knights came up to Suncorp and they lost 40-10 to the Broncos. Would you say that's about an appropriate score?
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Warriors just did that to the Knights.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like the Broncos would have put 70 on them or 60 on them. A 40-10 win by the Broncos over the Knights in week 2 of the finals would have been like, incredible, great performance, Broncos ready. And that's why I go, they have every chance to beat the Brizzy Broncos. Now, obviously, I'm backing the Broncos in, and I think they've got a better squad or whatever. But to think that, I think that heading into this week, a lot of people were just like, it's a guaranteed Penrith Broncos finals. I don't think it's a guarantee. I think that Penrith are very close to I think they're much closer to a guarantee than the Broncos are. And the Warriors, there are so many New Zealand fans in Brisbane and Gold Coast. Matter of fact, go back and watch the Dolphins game. It was louder for the Warriors than it was for the Dolphins. And the Dolphins apparently have 30,000 members. Now, Broncos obviously have a substantially bigger member base a bigger fan base than the Dolphins. But I think you'll be surprised at how many of those, how many Kiwis are going to turn out for the Broncos game and make it feel like a bit of a home game for them.
I think as well, too, just any generic fan showing up to that game. You're not going for the Broncos.
True.
Well, come on, Guru. As always. We're just battlers, mate.
But they are like, and I'm sure there has been in previous years, but off the top of my head, I can't remember a team that is such a clear everyone's second favourite team right now. Like, unless you are a Melbourne, Penrith, Broncos fan, surely you're going for the Warriors.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
What gives me that bit of hope for the Warriors this week is that the right edge in attack, led by Sean Johnson, they are in such sync right now. But it's not just like one shape they run. They have so many different variations to it. Like whether that's Egan playing through Fanua Blake. Occasionally they'll slide in and they'll put Fanua Blake running on that right edge and change that shape up again. Whether that's SJ lofting, whether it's going flat to Berry, whether it's out to back to Chantil Cookstad. I know every team's got this shape, but every variation of that, their plays out to the right, they seem to be nailing every single one of them.
Yeah.
So it's not like they go, all right, it's a standard play of Egan to SJ out the back to Chance, Dallin in the corner. And they go, oh, well, our defence, our slide and all that is going to be too good for it. If you plan for that, they'll hit you in another spot. Spot, and they'll execute it every time. That right edge is borderline unstoppable at the moment.
Oh, we'll definitely get to it in the preview. I totally agree with you. And people that think you could... We'll get to it in the preview. The game on the weekend, though, that first 20 minutes of the game, when was the last time you saw a Warriors side in such a big moment be so clinical like that? I can't remember it. The Warriors are usually the side that comes out, they go crazy for 5 minutes or so, with hyper aggression. And then they might make a few errors and then they fight in the game. This isn't the Warriors that we're used to. And I find it really interesting. Again, I'm telling you guys, if you're a footy fan, go and watch the post-match press conferences from every single coach because it's really interesting. So Webster, he made a real good point of, I just wanted our players to be themselves. And when he first said that, I said, that's such like a nothing thing, like be themselves. Like, what does that mean? And then later on, someone kind of dug a bit deeper in that question. And he said, against Penrith, we weren't ourselves. We were being, basically paraphrasing, he was saying we were hyper aggressive, trying to dominate, and weren't being smart aggressive. And then you fast forward to this game and you're like, geez, that's so true. Like if you go back and watch that Penrith game, that first 10 from them was super aggressive and you could see Adam Blake was trying to get into them. And it's not really the style they play. I think he even mentioned like line speed was too quick, which is like, it's almost, I guess what you would not want in a rugby league team to not have line speed. But Webster and Tohu Harris said we weren't ourselves last week, whereas this week we played like ourselves. And they did exactly that. They were hyperclinical, but still were confident. Like their ability to shift balls and confidently do it and hit 3 in defenders, which is obviously your 7 and 6 guys when it comes to defence. Like the amount of times they would just go shift, boom, hit that defender and then stay down a tram line. Like they stuck to a game plan perfectly, but it's not a boring conservative game plan. It's a really interesting, you could say it's high risk, but it's not really if you've got everyone on board, doing what they need to do. And that's what's so special about this Warriors side is they know who they are. And as long as they don't get caught up in the moment, what they do as good as anyone else in the competition.
The word that brings all that together for me, Camping, I don't know if Webster used it directly in the post-game interview, but it's just composure. And, you could argue maybe that they were a bit overawed by the occasional finals footy against Penrith last week. You might just say Penrith were way too good and blew them off the park. But when you say things like when Webster said, line speed too quick, too aggressive, that's going, oh, we've got Penrith, they're the best, we need to play through our skin. Well, that's losing your composure. Yep. Whereas this week against Newcastle, they did not look flustered at any moment. Yeah. And I mean, sure, Newcastle are a very different opposition to the Penrith Panthers. They were playing at home, but Sean Johnson slotted back into that team. Maybe he's the one just calling him down saying, boys, we've got this. Just stick to what we know.
He's composure personified, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, Joe. Yeah. And you said before, mate, that, when was the last time you saw a Warriors team start that well? When was the last time you saw an NRL team start that well?
It was unbelievable.
It was a finals game.
Penrith
Newcastle
in the grand final last year.
Maybe fair.
No, not even trying to be smart,
Newcastle
as a compliment.
Newcastle, I think they had, it was like 10% possession after 15 minutes.
I know, it was insane how well they
kicked
started.
off 3 times before they got tackled.
And you weren't sitting there going, wow, they're hyper. Like, for example, at the start of the Melbourne Storm Broncos game, everyone watching was going, holy shit, how aggressive are the Broncos forward pack? That's their jam. That's what they do. They're super explosive, super powerful. Whereas you weren't watching this Warriors side going, holy shit, they're just flying out of line. And what that does for them is it sets them in good stead for the rest of the 80 minutes because they may not be the Brizzy Broncos that can do that for 80 minutes. But what they can do is go, if you give us an opportunity, we will keep you down in your end and we will score points. But if the game turns and you get momentum, we aren't going to panic. And that's what I thought was really good about the weekend. The score isn't going to show it, but there was a period there, they scored 16 points, and then the Knights got momentum. And if you're the Warriors side, even from last year, you panic immediately and go, oh my God, we're going to lose this lead. Holy shit, we just came out here, we're killing it. The crowd's here, the country's on our back. Oh my God, we can't lose this lead. Warriors just went, all good. I think it got at one stage to 16-10. And I remember messaging you boys maybe 30 minutes. I said, I'm worried for the Knights if it stays like this. They're going to score 3 or 4 points. Like the Warriors are going to score 3 or 4 tries because they're not going to be able to hang in with the way the Warriors can hang in, which is, again, when was the last time you said that about a Warriors side? Yep. That you would say the people they're playing aren't going to be able to hang in with the Warriors that play. And that's what makes this side so special.
I had it written down here at 16-0 after Montoya had scored. The Warriors had gone 8 from 8 sets. Newcastle had gone 0 from 2. Warriors had 84% possession. That was the first. So you think about the Newcastle Knights coming off playing, a 90-minute game of football to then arrive in New Zealand with that crowd and get the 15 minutes from absolute hell, punch you in the face. Like it was no shock why the Newcastle Knights had nothing left in the tank at the end.
I mean, and to Newcastle's credit, like I know the score says 40-10. They fought. They just ran out of gas. They just absolutely ran out of gas.
Yeah, we sat there here and spoke pretty heavily about it last week, about the monumental task Newcastle had going into this game because of that 90-minute Raiders game, the shorter turnaround, the trip over there, all these different factors to unsettle them. And you'd sort of said that we were saying that they'd fold or run out of steam late in the game, last 20-odd minutes. It happened from the word go. What happened from the word go was exactly what Guru just said. The Warriors didn't give them a chance to get out to a lead and do any early damage. They just put their foot on the throat from the minute that ball's kicked off.
Yeah.
There was no chance by the time the last 15 minutes came.
And I know the game blew out in the end, but also credit to the Newcastle Knights. Like after that 10-minute period to half-time, I think they completed 10 of their next 11 sets.
Mate, they absolutely fought. They are, like as a Knights fan, I know it's not the best score, but they fought tooth and nail. But this was just a team that completely ran out of steam. Like 11-game win streak. No one expected them to be there. They're over in New Zealand. Whereas the Warriors, they're playing. They're fresh, but B, they're playing for. They're just playing for something different. Like if the Warriors lost that game, it would be way more negative for the Warriors than if the Knights lose that game because it's at home, because of all the history. The Warriors were incredible.
It's really easy to say 40-10, look at the scoreline and go, the Knights didn't show up for this one, da-da. But as you said, they end up with a 78% completion. The stat for me was time in possession. The Warriors had the ball in possession for 32 minutes. The Knights were 24. 8 extra minutes in a game. They had the ball.
So long.
And you look at that, and the Warriors completed 82, and you go, well, sure, the Knights weren't at their best, but it's a compliment to the Warriors. They didn't give them a chance.
It's even more impressive when you consider in the first 15 minutes, it was probably 10 minutes to 1.
Yeah.
Like they weren't even... They didn't even get the ball. And like once again, without going back to them, but geez, don't you look at that Newcastle side and go, they ran out of gas after that big finals game last week. Makes you look at the Roosters and go, geez, after 6 weeks of finals footy, fuck, that's proper grit.
Yeah. I mean, what's really impressive as well is like the Warriors saved their best performance of the year for their biggest game of the year. Now, obviously, next week is the biggest game, but as it stands, that's the biggest game of the year. I mean, you could make an argument, but that this game, in the grand scheme of things, is a bigger game than the next game because of the fact that it was at home. Like you could make the argument. Now I understand, like if they win the next game, obviously it's a bigger game. But put it this way: if they lost this week, and let's say they lose next week against the Broncos, I think a lot of New Zealand fans will be disappointed for sure. But they'll be like, look, up at Suncorp, Broncos are killing it. It is what it is. I think the Knights game, the pressure of, we expect you to win. Like, you better win.
I think that if they would have lost this game to Newcastle, a lot of the opinions out there would have been, same old Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely.
They had us fooled.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You went out in straight sets. Shocked me. This always happens.
Yeah, we had an all right year, and then the excuses would come out like, we had a draw, that was it. They know all these reasons as to why it was easy to get where they got. Whereas as we've said, like what I love about it, this is just like cemented. No, this was an incredible year and can still be an incredible year for the Warriors. Let's speak about some other boys. We already spoke about him a bit, but Adam Pompey's defence, it improved out of sight. I want to give a shout out to Wade Egan. The space that he creates for SJ on that right side, if you watch him play it, like he gets so deep in the line and he actually no-look passes it, but not the flashy no-look of, Jesus, man, why are you doing that? Like, why are you no-look passing when you don't have to do that? He no-look passes because he squares up so much. He actually can't turn his body around because if he does, he starts going sideways. So he actually throws the ball like out and around behind him. If he turns his body, then the defence are going to kind of know that he is passing the ball. But because he stays so square and out and around, it doesn't look like he's going to pass it and they have to stay on him. I thought especially his first 20, but if you go back and watch it, all the tries they scored early on had a lot to do with Wade Egan's service out of dummy half.
He has improved so much. I remember when he came through at Penrith and he did very well in the juniors and he made his debut and I sort of spoke about him during the week a lot and everything. He scored a try in his debut, so everyone how good, but he didn't actually impress me as much as I thought he would when he first came into first grade. Another classic example though of just it takes time. It takes time for these guys to develop and mate, now he's one of the premier Knights.
I mean, he's definitely form-wise.
Form-wise, he's been incredible this year. And you can see the difference in the Warriors when he is there and he isn't there.
Oh, massive, massive difference. Massive difference. And it's a credit to Webster's coaching. And I know he went before, but what a I guess luck that Webster, who would have had a lot to do with him at the Panthers, got to go over and coach him as his 9 because he knows his game. He knows what makes him tick. Wade Egan for me is Wade Egan and Barnett have been real unsung heroes for me for the Warriors.
Just a little compliment to the Warriors. This week was the first week since round 13. KP didn't have a try or a try assist.
Wow.
Whoa. Again, like that comes off player effort. No denying that comes off player effort. But you could argue much better players have defended KP and he's got a try assist on them. That comes down to great coaching.
Yeah.
Like to shut a guy out like that, that is a game plan specifically tailored to make him not affect the game.
And in that run, that includes game against the Broncos, the Panthers, the Roosters.
He was outstanding against the Broncos.
Storm. Yeah.
And so I don't look, we don't know. Head coaching is so complicated, so much goes into it, but I don't think this is a flash in the pan from Andrew Webster. I really don't. I think that we're looking at one of the better coaches over the next few years.
And the Warriors have had good years, not recently, but over the last 10, 15 years, they have had a couple of good seasons, but you're right, this year feels differently. And I think it's Webby.
I think they're just building a foundation. The way they're playing, it's not fluky footy. It's footy that is a system, It's these plays that they have around the ruck. Like, it's no I guess it's not luck that made Adam Fenor-Blake have the ball on Tyson Gamble in the good ball. That's not luck. Like front rowers like him aren't sitting out there. Like he's been intentionally, their plan has been made up for him to get the ball on Tyson Gamble on the try line. Like they've watched video and seen something and said, we're getting Adam Fenor-Blake on Tyson Gamble in good ball.
And you think about next year, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck's going to walk back into the system. And the other one, mate, to be honest with you, because Esther's been going so good, I almost forgot he existed. But Chanel Harris-Tavita returns as well.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a picture of him on the weekend
true.
I forgot you existed. And it made me think back to, he was a weapon.
He was a weapon.
He is a very, very talented footballer. So now you got Tamari Martin, Chanel Harris-Tavita, and Ronald Volkman there, and Metcalf.
And Harris-Tavita was always a guy that was crying out for good coaching.
Yep.
Because you could see the potential
There's something there.
Yeah.
Just to double down, Kempy, on saying how everything is so systematic with the Warriors. There's no fluke about it. There's no luck about what they're doing. It's a sign of great coaching. Warriors teams of old that have done well, what do you think of? You think of big, strong, explosive ball runners, offload, this second phase play and playing off the back of that high-risk footy that when it goes right, it's great, but when it doesn't, it's horrible. And they're always tough to watch, the Warriors. Always fun, but tough to watch. They have the least offloads in the competition this season.
Wow. That's a huge stat.
Like, that's just showing that, no, everything they do is systematic and planned. They're not relying on luck and second phase play.
Yeah, wow. That is, and like Adam Fenor-Blake is a notoriously good offloader as well.
Yeah.
So they're telling him, mate, just pick your moments. I think Barnett's been good offloader as well this year.
He's picked his moments well. Jackson Ford's had some good ones throughout the year too.
Yeah, wow, the least offloads. That's a great evidence of system footy.
Yeah.
System footy.
The other thing I love is, I just had a look through their back line. 1 to 7 at the moment. Marcelo Montoya is the only one that wasn't born in New Zealand.
That's great to see. That's great to see for the Warriors. Yeah, wow. So what's 6 of them born in New Zealand?
Chance, Dallin, Rocco, Adam, and Sean Johnson.
Wow. Is Tomato?
Yep.
Martin, born in New Zealand?
Born in New Zealand, yep.
Far out. That's pretty impressive. Wow. Okay, we got to speak about him. Tohu Harris. That performance, and I put it up, when I put the stats up, I said this in the caption. I basically said that, so he had 216 metres, 39 tackles, 3 tackle breaks, 63 post-contact. Honestly, and you can call it hyperbolic, you can say I'm getting caught up in the moment, you could take all those stats away and just watch the game and his ball playing and leadership, and he would have still been one of the best on ground. And I stand by that. I honestly stand by that. You could honestly say he ran for 50 metres, he had 15 tackles and no tackle breaks, and he still would have been one of the best on ground. His ball playing through the middle and decision making and telling boys where to be, you can see him setting the boys up, was phenomenal.
You have a look at his touches. I think he had 35 touches of the footy. You have a look at the fullback. He had 38. 5'8" had 36.
You go back
Unbelievable.
and look at the Rocco Berry try and Tohu's work in that. He acts as first receiver. He catches flat at the line at speed. You can see him straighten himself up, play direct. He engages two defenders. He plays real deep into the line, turns and gives it at the last minute once he's engaged those defenders, hits SJ with his flat, fast pass right out in front of him. They go on and score in the corner. It was like that ball play was better than half the halfbacks in the NRL. It was
100%.
incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Like some of the halfbacks that aren't in the top tier just run sideways. Like they just run overs constantly. He's, as I said, his ball playing was as good as a big six's ball playing. That is good. He was incredible. I know that people will say it's hyperbolic, but it's genuinely one of the best performances I've seen by a forward in a finals game in a very long time. Like it was unbelievable. Hit everything. Like we're talking about his ball playing was as good as a half. He had 216 metres and 39 tackles. If he had 216 metres and 39 tackles and didn't pass once, we would say that that's incredible. He had both. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
When you have a look at Tohu Harris as well, like I remember when he first burst on the scene for Melbourne, like he was an edge back rower. Yeah. And the way that he's transitioned into a 13 and his ball playing and everything is incredible. If you go and have a look through his career, before 2020 at the Warriors, he'd played a grand total of 6 games in the 13 jersey before that.
Far out. Before, what, 2016 did you say?
Yeah, so but before 2020. So,
2020, sorry.
In 2013 and 2014, he played 6 games in the 13 jersey. None.
So this is his third year as a 13.
He's played 45 games as a 13.
That is actually wild. No wonder he's getting better and better.
Yeah, it's insane. It's incredible. I don't I don't know. Maybe other people can remember better, but I don't remember watching him at Melbourne going, geez, he's like a Wade Graham. He's a ball playing back rower.
Yeah,
No,
true.
God, no.
True.
Not at all.
Big footwork, strong in contact.
In fact, I want to say in the 2017 grand final, he threw a huge cutout pass that shocked me. I think, is that bringing any bells?
I'm going to say I do not remember it.
Yeah, okay, sure. But he had a blinder that night as well. But
I remember it clearly. I just didn't want to give it to you.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. But isn't it funny, like, who's the other 13 we probably talk about this? It's Isaiah Yeo. What was he a few years ago? Edge back row.
Yeah.
That transitions into the middle. And that's the other thing. Like, these guys grow up as edge back rowers. They're not ball players when they're younger.
Yeah. And so when you mix all this great form, the club, everyone's behind them, everything's going great. But I want to tell you the play that typifies why the Warriors are in a prelim. It doesn't seem like a big play. It was by a player that played solidly. He was their star a few years ago. Josh Curran.
Was it your speech last week?
It was my speech last week.
Former star.
Yeah. It was a big speech. They played it on repeat the whole week.
They had to.
Surely. It was Josh Curran dragging the fullback or whoever it was, Knights player, back into the in goal, dislocating his finger. So he didn't let go of that jersey. He grabs him by the back of the neck, drags him in whilst dislocating his finger. This isn't to score a try. This isn't for a huge highlight reel play. This is just to get a repeat set. He's dragging him so hard and dislocates his finger. If that doesn't typify what the Warriors are this year, I don't know what does. Like fully out, immediately does it, immediately calling for the trainer. Not like your pinky or whatever, the easy one to get back in, one of the bigger fingers. That is, like, I think they were maybe like at least 2 tries up. So we're not even talking about, golden point stuff. We're talking about just to get the job done, dislocates his finger. Amazing.
He's so underrated, Cara.
Oh, bloody oath he is.
Just on Tohu Harris, I was just having a look through some of his numbers. Before 2020, he played more games at centre and more games at 5'8" than he had at 13.
That's like him at 5'8". Him at centre? Jesus. Big boy.
5'8" for the Kiwis.
No way.
In the final of the 2016 Four Nations.
No way.
Wow.
No wonder he's so frigging good at ball playing. Yeah. He's the biggest 6 in history. So great stuff from the Warriors. Now on to the Knights. I mean, we'll speak about it more in the season review because that's the vibe I kind of get with the Knights in regards to like what to talk about. We'd be talking about the review stuff. As a performance, though, I thought Frizzell was so freaking good at wrestling back momentum. It was unbelievable. I just think they're on 11-game winning streak or whatever it was. This is a team that no one had going as deep as they did. They just ran out of gas, like completely ran out of gas. And I know the scoreline isn't flattering, and I know Knights fans will feel super deflated by that scoreline. But anyone that watched that game, you cannot tell me these boys fought, their absolute hearts out to wrangle themselves back into that game to give an opportunity to win. Unfortunately, they just didn't have the gas to keep going. They just didn't.
Yeah, tough. I know we've praised them all year and whatnot, but you look at the Newcastle Knights, like they came into this game without their halfback, without Daniel Saifidi, without their hooker. Like it's been a lot of things that have gone wrong for Newcastle this year, and it's incredible that they've managed to pull it all together and get to where they have. And even in this game, as I said, like that was just about the perfect 15 minutes of football the Warriors played early. The Newcastle Knights, like this should have been 60-0 based on the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The fact that they managed to get themselves back into this in any way, shape or form, I was so impressed by.
And they came up against a master game plan. Guess how many tackles Tyson Gamble made? 30.
30, yeah.
Guess how many tackles Clune made? 21. Yeah. Like, that is a master game plan to get two guys that, Gamble, decent defender, but it's his first full year of first grade. Adam Clune has played maybe full year of first grade and got called in late. So basically what you're asking them is like, you are going to be the pressure points all game long. Can you handle that pressure? And also, let's say you can handle that pressure. Let's say you make every single one of those 50 tackles or whatever it was and you don't miss a single one. Do you have the gas tank to then attack as well on top of that? And if you don't, who is going to pick up that slack? It's no wonder that KP had no space on the edges. Both halves were absolutely pounded all game long by the Warriors.
And I think you could really see like the amount of work Tyson Gamble got through. They forced him to make 30 tackles. And, mate, I have no idea why, but why did Newcastle build their entire long kicking game around Tyson Gamble? And that's it. I found it very strange that Adam Clune didn't do much long kicking throughout this game, and you could see how gassed Gamble was throughout this because they just put so much pressure on him throughout the entire game. Maybe that's something the Warriors identified coming into this game, but yeah, they made him do a lot of work.
And another thing as well, like when you talk about game plans, they identified Greg Marju and said, you know what, you might run it back hectic once or twice, but if we keep going to you, eventually you're going to make an error and eventually you're going to lose your confidence. And although Marju's had an amazing season, unfortunately, when the pressure built up, just some of those old bad habits started to creep in.
Kick return meters for Dominic Young, 1. Kick return meters for Marju. What do you reckon?
More than 1.
113.
Far
Nailed
out.
it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Not wrong.
Didn't even know that stat, just know the game of rugby league there, Guru. And as I said, like, I know a lot of people will look at Marju and even Gamble as well. I know, they didn't play their best game, but let's not forget the season these guys have had. Like, they went to a massive pressure cooker with a masterful game plan that was executed to a T by every single Warriors player. In regards to, guys that played well, as I said, I thought Tyson Frizzell was outstanding, especially when they needed someone to step up, when they were just under the pump. Frizzell was just constantly shifting momentum. Like, it was almost like the first tackle, Warriors went, oh, okay, you won that battle, but then they won the momentum back again. And then Frizzell comes again, oh shit, you won that battle. And before you knew it, the Knights had won the field position, and a lot of it was off the back of some really incisive, tough runs from Tyson Frizzell.
Yeah, he was great, mate. I thought the other back row was fantastic as well, Dylan Lucas. He obviously scored a try, but I was talking to someone from Newcastle that messaged me that 3 or 4 years ago, he was a centre or a winger in their local comp in Newcastle.
Far out.
Then be playing finals footy over there in New Zealand, score a try. He got through a lot of defensive work as well. Very impressive.
He's lively, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a tackle buster. He runs a good hard line. Looks like a tough unit. Lockie Fitzgibbons, they missed in this game. He's been such a focal point of their left edge attack as an option for them, but I imagine Lucas is probably the bloke to slot in there round 1 next year as it stands.
They've signed Jed Cartwright as well, which they reckon he's a sniff to win it. But geez, I reckon I'd be leaning towards Lucas. You even read his what they say on the website about him. Talented centre Dylan Lucas provides depth and speed to the Knights' outside back stops.
What?
Far out.
Played 80 minutes in the back row against the Warriors.
He's a goer. I reckon he's the man for it.
4, 5, 6, 7. I was just counting the errors and what was the one thing when Knights struggle that I always talked about with the Knights? is their outside backs making a lot of errors.
Did they all make an error in this game?
So 2 from KP, 2 from Dom Young, 1 from Gagai, 2 from Bradman Best, 1 from Greg Marju.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, the Warriors, look, if you took out Montoya that says made 3, I don't recall Montoya making 3 errors, but if you took that out, they, DWZ made 0, Chance 1, Rocco Berry 1, Adam Pompey 1. You know what I mean? So that's always been a concern when the Knights struggle a little bit, is when their backs start making errors, because their backs are so crucial to the way they play. Like Dom Young, Dan Gagai, Bradman Best, Greg Marjorie, like they've set the comp alight this year.
There was a few times that there was errors that came between Gagai and Dom Young, and you could just tell how rattled it was, because that edge hasn't made a mistake in 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything they've done has been gold.
Yeah, but you talk about all the time, Kemi, about like bad habits sort of from the season. And I know they won 10 on the trot, so maybe a little bit harsh. Their defence was quite good, but at times they've been exposed on their edge back, outside backs in defence with some errors. Like even, it was probably glossed over a little bit because they got the win last week against the Raiders, but you mentioned the errors there. Last week, Ponga had 2, Young 1, Gagai 3, Best 2, Marju 3 between the back line. They were good enough last week against the Raiders. Same, when we mentioned last week, they can't go and do that same thing against the Warriors because they are a better side and they will not have the same response. Well, the Warriors made them pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great point. And, you look back and you go, Raiders nearly put 30 on them or whatever it was in the end. And so, for a Raiders side that struggles for points, you can't take that into a Warriors game, and unfortunately they did. So, from an effort perspective, though, I think that the Knights deserve a lot of credit. As I said, I know the scoreboard doesn't reflect it. They were super brave, man. I honestly stand by that. They were super brave. They tried their guts out, but in the end, they just had no gas. They genuinely had no gas. You could see even some of the tries that the Warriors scored towards the end. You could see the Knights boys were just out on their feet.
Doesn't it just make you think, like, we go back to the start of the season, they would have just started with KP at fullback. Yeah. It's like that just changed so much, and I'm excited for Newcastle next year. They come in, with a halfback who's not new to the franchise. He's now there. They know. Well, I assume they know who their 5'8" is going to be. To be gamble for me, they know KP is going to be their fullback. They also now know Brayley. We don't need you to be an 80-minute dude. Phoenix Crossland, you can actually come on and have more impact than you've ever had before. Obviously there's a couple of forwards there that I think this year really come to life. Leo Thompson, Matty Croker. They'll only be better for the run. So
it's a really settled roster.
It's a very settled roster. All of a sudden, it's a very settled roster.
The other factor in that is with Crossland's emergence as a genuine number 9, it frees up a roster spot because they don't have to go and find another hooker to come in. So that helps the depth across the board. And as you said, disappointing result on the weekend for them, but they're going to go into next season sky high on confidence, winning 10 of their last 11. They know what they're capable of. Most importantly, they're going into next year with 2 games of finals experience for the entire squad.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a buzz around Newcastle this off-season.
KP a full off-season at fullback again?
Yeah. And I think, yes, KP at fullback 100%, but KP just showing I'm ready to put a team on my back. This is what we've all been talking about for 10 years now. I'm ready to do it now, and I want to do it. It's the first time I've looked at KP and gone, he wants to do it.
Absolutely. A full preseason with KP training and everything at fullback. Look out next. I mean, I know you can't vote on the Dally M, but I tell you what, a fit KP with a whole off season at fullback is going to be hard to beat.
And this is where, it feels like so long ago, the preseason, but, we forget that, KP had an injury coming into the preseason. He missed the trials, I think it was. And the last 2 or 3 weeks, they obviously had Tyson Gamble arrive at the club. They had Jackson Hastings arrive at the club. Then 3 or 4 weeks in, they lost Jaden Brayley. So it was a pretty frantic start to the season for them.
Yeah, those 11 games have made you forget so much went wrong for the Knights. So much went wrong.
I think Adam Elliott got injured. He got injured
he got injured
or something.
Yeah.
So,
and he was their biggest signing, I'm pretty sure.
NRL physio Nathan Cleary expected to play on Friday night despite requiring scans on finger injury suffered at training. Thankfully, no major damage, but would surely take a significant finger issue to keep Cleary out.
Okay.
Running out of fingers to put rings on, Cleary's got to be careful.
Oh, there it is. Now, before we get into the preview, Telstra Footy Country Tour. This September, Telstra, in collaboration with the NRL, are hosting the NRL Telstra Footy Country Tour. Former and current NRL legends are going to visit remote and regional communities with coaching clinics, club gala days, and prized photo ops with trophies. Kicking off during footy finals, the tour journeys through Queensland, Victoria, and New South Wales, finishing at the 2023 Grand Final at Accor Stadium The link for more information of where they will be going and how to register is in the show notes. Massive thank you for Telstra for supporting the show. Also, don't forget, make sure you head to Shoe Grab to get some new shoes. Free delivery on all orders over $99. Sneakers, casual, performance, slides, limited exclusive, plus a bunch of clothes and accessories. Go to their Instagram. They always have crazy special guys on really exclusive shoes. That's Shoe Grab. They've also got a store in Sydney, a store in Melbourne. Really cool place to get all your shoes. Let's get straight. Also, don't forget, grab a case of Bloke beer, the beer of rugby league, and also in our show notes, we have a survey that will help us guys a lot, and we're giving away 5 $100 Bloke gift vouchers to 5 random lucky winners that fill this survey out. Literally takes 2 seconds, is in the show notes, will help us tremendously going forward as a podcast. Now, prelim 1, Panthers v the Storm. What a clash. What a clash. Now, you would say the Panthers are the out-and-out favourites, of course, and the Storm, they go in with, not the best form, struggling to score points. But if there's one club that can somehow, some way, as huge underdogs, beat the Panthers, it's the Storm. I cannot wait for this clash.
Yeah, obviously they've been so consistent over the last couple of years, and even this year I didn't expect them to get this far, the Melbourne Storm. So you can't rule them out, but good God. Panthers off a week off, and in particular, mate, Ivan Cleary off a week off. He's going to have these guys primed and ready to go. Obviously, team lists haven't come out, but I'm expecting Jerome Hughes to play. Sorry, not Jerome Hughes, Jerome Luai to play. Jerome Hughes, I don't know, I didn't get a great vibe off Melbourne Storm when they were talking post-game about him. So if it's a Luai in and Hughes still not there, that's a big worry.
What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, look, I see it being probably pretty one-sided, particularly if Jerome Hughes doesn't play. We mentioned earlier how good Tyrone Wishart was on the weekend, but, you mentioned Guru, top 3, top 5 halfbacks in the NRL. Jerome Hughes, his combination with Eli Katoa this season, who's going to be a big factor in this game, or needs to be, I should say, if they're going to beat Penrith. Penrith fresh off a spell, provide everyone's fit and fully and good to go, or even close enough to it. We mentioned Tungo might be out, but I just really find it hard to see how this Melbourne Storm forward pack aim up enough against Penrith to allow Munster and, say, Hughes and Meaney to produce a bit any magic.
I guess the tough thing for the Storm is even if they had great roster and they had decent form, the last 2 weeks have been brutal games. Like, we're talking Broncos, who were hyper aggressive, and then the Roosters versus Storm was such a grind. And you watch the Penrith Panthers play the Warriors, they don't look tired one bit. Like, they don't look like it's the end of the season. They don't look like, let's just get this over with. They don't look like they have a bunch of niggly injuries. They look like they have more energy right now than they've had the whole season. And that's the biggest concern for me for this Storm forward pack especially, is where do they get the energy to go against a team that is at the tippity top of their energy resources?
Yeah, I'm sort of scarred because I remember this game 2 years ago. It was Penrith-Melbourne. And I just remember sitting there going, I just can't see a way that Penrith can beat them. And I feel that way right now, the opposite.
The opposite, wow.
And they found a way, Penrith Panthers.
And that's the thing, like, everything we just said makes sense, but the Storm don't make sense.
Yeah.
They don't make sense. They constantly defy expectations.
If Melbourne win this,
my God.
We're not saying even the grand final, but where the hell would this stack up on Belly Ache's best wins?
It's got to be one of his greatest. To beat the three-peat side with the roster currently as it is, that's, touch and go key players, it would stack up as one of Bellamy's greatest achievements. I know that you can't compare that to premiership wins, but I mean, no one, like, he's going into a prelim and the odds are, what, $4.50? A Melbourne Storm. $4.95. So nearly $5. That's how far outsiders they are. And yet, if he managed to somehow do this, it will be one of his great performances.
Without a doubt. And geez, you would not want to come up against this Storm side in a grand final, would you?
Because then you're just like, now they got their tails up. Cam Munster's in it. Hughes is back in. Coates is back in. And all of a sudden, they've fucking got hope and they're ready to go.
They need Jerome Hughes to play this game.
Yeah, once again, I'm happy to be proven wrong next week, but I can't see Penrith losing this game. I really can't.
It's even if it gets into a grind, that's what Penrith want.
That's exactly what they want. Yeah. That's where they're comfortable. I almost think if you're Melbourne, you need to take a few punts. You need to try and just get them uncomfortable. And
No, there's only one way to do that, Root. Free the arm, get the offload happening. Seriously, like, as you said, what have Melbourne done in tough times where they're against the odds, backs against the wall, they get into the grind, their forward pack just gets the job done and they turn into a dogfight? That's not the way they're going to beat Penrith. They have to get Big Nelson, Soft Solomona, Tui Kamikamitha, these blokes offloading and getting some second phase play and unsettling Penrith's defence and get Cameron Munster playing in broken play because that's where he does his best footy. Cameron Munster has been pretty underwhelming the last couple of weeks by not only by his lofty standards, but he hasn't done a lot. Like, let's call it what it is. Even he had the match-winning crossfield kick for Warbrick, which you could even argue was a tad shallow. Warbrick was unbelievable what he did there. But in the last two finals games, no tries, and he's had one assist, which is that Warbrick one. By no means is any of this a lack of effort. Like, he's had an absolute crack, but it's just not seemingly happening for him. Even defensively, he missed 7 tackles on the weekend, 4 the week prior. He's missed 84 tackles this season, which is comfortably the most he's ever had. He missed 76 back in 2019. He's missed 59 tackles since round 11. I don't know if one of them was a soft one letting a try through anything. We know it's a misleading stat. Nonetheless, Munster, we've said for a long time with Penrith push for the top 4 and all that, you know, he'll take him there, he'll get him there, but it hasn't been him a lot of the time. And I'm waiting for him to explode. Maybe this is the week, but if they're seriously going to go and upset the Penrith Panthers this week, he has to be the man, doesn't he? And he has to lift. And we've seen him do it time and time again, but I don't think he's looked like he's been himself for a couple of months.
Imagine Penrith fans sitting at home going, Tim, shut up.
Yeah.
He might hear you. Shut the fuck up.
Like,
He doesn't need to hear me. He knows.
Oh, mate. I mean, Cameron Munster needs to be the guy. He needs to be the guy. And, like, just when you don't think he's the guy, he becomes the guy.
Every time.
And you're just like, what? Like, looking back at that 2020 series, mate, he was off a bender at the end of a year. He got knocked out. And he came into game 3 and just, like, no one expected that. Like, no one expected Munster to do that. But I agree. He has to be the man. He has to be the man. But from a Panthers side, you don't need to say anything. It is business as usual for this incredible side. It is making sure that they don't get complacent, but they've never got complacent. Since they've gone on this run, they've never got complacent. They've basically had one blemish on their record, and it was the 2020 grand final against the Storm that had Cameron Smith. And it was 40 minutes of complacency, and since then, they've never been complacent again.
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty evident when these two teams played a few weeks ago. I mean, they've played twice this season. Penrith have won both convincingly, but you could tell there was a lot in that for Penrith. Like, for a lot of these guys, they haven't had any disappointments in their career.
Except for
outside of this fucking team. And they do not forget it.
Yep. You're right. You're right. You can see every time they play the Storm, all they're thinking about is 20-0 in a grand final and just watching Cam Smith absolutely tear them apart through the middle.
Yeah. And if you go back to the last time they played, mate, the amount of passion Jerome Luai played with in that game, I'll give it away if he's not playing in this game.
Oh, he's playing.
Yeah.
He's playing for sure. I cannot wait. So for Panthers, it's just about getting in the grind. It really is, because it's kind of like the night situation. Like, how the hell will Storm have the gas? How will they have the gas to go 80 minutes with the best grinders of rugby league? You could argue they're the best grinders of rugby league we've ever seen. I know there's teams that have won 5 in a row, 6 in a row, whatever, but the game was very different back then. When it comes to the modern era of rugby league, the Penrith Panthers are arguably the best grindy team we've ever seen. So as I said, Penrith Panthers, the good thing for them is that they know their game plan. It's nothing, doesn't need to be magical, doesn't need to change for anyone. They just know what's going to go in. And that's what's so interesting about them and the Warriors to a degree, but them and the Broncos, some to the Warriors, but to the Broncos, is Broncos are almost a bit of a reactionary side. Like, yes, they have hyper aggression, but they almost look for your weaknesses and try to exploit it. Whereas Penrith go, no, we don't care how you're going to play. We're gonna play the way we play.
We're going to dictate to them.
Yeah, and we're going to see how you go.
You can't beat us if we're perfect.
Exactly. Whereas the Broncos play very more like hyper aggression, like we're going to bash you until you make a mistake or drop the ball. Then we're going to have crazy attack that identifies your weaknesses. I mean, Kevin Walters, his attack was unbelievable. And that's what's so unique about these two sides is they almost couldn't be more dissimilar, really. Like Broncos' willingness to just do anything from anywhere. I think Broncos scored the most long-range tries, or some close to the most. But anyway, back to this game. It's business as usual for the Penrith Panthers. It's getting through this game unscathed and just building pressure and building into that grand final. And it is absolutely mind-blowing. Think about this. We're watching a team go for their third premiership in a row, and there isn't even a hint of fatigue. There's not a single hint where I watch them and go, oh, okay, it's been a tough few years. They look better than ever. Better than ever.
Yeah.
No question marks, no uncertainties.
Zero.
They know their game plan. They're 90% squad fit.
Yeah, it is truly unbelievable. So it's going to be a great game, though. I do believe Penrith win comfortably, but as I said, if there is literally one team in the comp that defies expectation year on year, it's the Melbourne Storm. So I cannot wait.
Yeah, I think their defense is going to be tested so much in this game. You have a look over the last few weeks. Round 25, conceded 28 to the St George Illawarra Dragons, conceded 16 to the Gold Coast Titans, 22 to the Broncos, to be fair. Wasn't their full side. The Broncos ran out their full side the next week. They conceded 26. Only 13 to the Roosters last week. So, yeah, positive signs there. But
Roosters' worst cack in that comp, essentially.
Yeah, so that's, and with Penrith, you might score 12 points if they're having a bad defensive day come September.
You basically, you need to find a way to hold Penrith to less than 12 points.
Yep.
Or around there, like maybe 16 if you're being super generous, because they're going to hold you to it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see their approach. I can't wait to see Craig Bellamy's blueprint and the style of footy they try to play, because he knows if they go out and play what they have all season, same game plans, they're not winning this game of footy. So Bellyache will have something up his sleeve, and I can't wait to see what that is.
And as you said before, just playing second phase footy, that'd be my approach.
Has to be.
Because, if you play second phase footy and you drop the ball, you turn the ball over a lot. Sweet, you might lose by 28, but you're going to grind them in.
Go down swinging.
You're going to lose by 8 if you try and just play, if you try and out Penrith.
Yeah, it'll be, I think it's got to be a mixture of both, I think. I think it's got to be a mixture of accepting the grind, but where you would usually just stay in it, you take that big play. Where you would usually be coming out of your own end, like let's say it's been back and forth for 10 minutes, you're coming out of your own end, usually you would just go, you know what, 1% play, let's just make sure we get it done. You go, bang, bang, 2 pass, shift early on, and just test them, but not crazy stuff, not like we need to be shifting on the first play constantly because we just cannot beat this side. All you got to do is look to, the 2020, Origin series to see that it needs to be the right mixture. And what was the right mixture there? It was hyper-aggression by the forward pack of Queensland. And then when Munster needed to make that huge play, he took it.
Yep.
And I think that's the way the Storm need to approach that, is like they need to walk that balance between... Because if you go in there saying, we're definitely going to get beaten in a grind, then in your head, you're like, I'm not getting in a grind. I'm not grinding anything because fuck that, we lose. You got to get in your head, no, we will get in the grind, but when those half chances arrive, don't let fear hold us back, that we normally go, you know what, don't take the half chance, let's just go and get the job done. Whereas obviously Panthers going in are going, we need to get as deeply into the grind as possible. Like, don't even worry about the big plays because we'll get them so fatigued that they'll just come. So that's what I cannot wait. I seriously cannot wait.
Isn't it just terrifying thinking, that Melbourne Storm forward pack coming off last week, coming up against Fish, Leota, Spencer Leniu, all coming off 2 weeks, a 2-week spell. It's just
nightmare fuel.
And you know what they do in finals footy. You know they go to another level. These guys are just going to be ready to explode. And, they're all guys you beat in a grand final a couple of years ago.
And that's the scary thing with Leota and Fisher Harris is they deliver.
Yep.
Whereas essentially every other forward pack, you could go, it's finals footy. Will they have a bad game? Will they, they get ahead of themselves and be too aggressive and maybe an error here or there? With Fisher Harris and Leota, you're like, oi, every big dog, like the biggest dogs of the big dogs playing NRL have targeted them and gone after them, and they have answered the call every single time. And that's what you're going to go up against in a final. It's one of the toughest challenges in rugby league. Now, before we get to the next game, store shout-outs, Penrith Supercellars. Great bottle shop in the heart of Penrith. Jared and Bill are big supporters of Bloke. If you want to enjoy some Bloke beer while cheering on the Penny Panthers this week, head into Penrith Supercellars and buy some Bloke beer. Tom Sellers in North Turramurra. Brand new stockers of Bloke beer on the North Shore of Sydney. Pop in to see Lee and his team and get some Bloke lager. at great prices. Epping Hotel, another brand new stockist in Sydney. Great drive-through bottle shop, now selling Bloke Lager for competitive prices. Nova Discount Liquor, huge warehouse bottle shop in Newcastle. Currently running a promo where every Bloke beer purchase you'll receive a special Bloke prize. Head down and see Alex and his team and grab some Bloke beer. Harry Brown's, Eaton Hills, north side of Brizzy. Common Ground Cellars, see Dan, close to the University of Queensland. Black Sheep Bottle Shop, beer and more beer. That's all of the Black Sheep bottle shops in Queensland or Brisbane. Black Nugget, Moranbah, stocks Bloke beer, and Stafford Tavern. Head inside to the sports bar and bottle shop at Stafford Tavern. Prelim 2. Broncos v the Warriors. Hearing whispers the NRL are going to name it the Kemp Cup, but yet to be confirmed. What a moment. What a moment for both clubs. What a moment. Like, to think that what's beautiful about this game is that to think that the Broncos are in a grand final, how good for such a big club that has been, out in the wilderness for however long now. If the Warriors make the grand final, I mean, what an incredible achievement. This game, when you talk about entertainment, I think this game is going to be absolute fireworks. I think you're going to see every part of rugby league that we love. You're going to see the tough stuff. You're going to see the beautiful stuff. It is going to be rugby league personified, and I cannot wait because it's the best stadium for rugby league in the world, Suncorp Stadium.
The halfbacks. I can't wait.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, unreal. And you always talk about, we've spoken about the last 2 or 3 years, the halfbacks. Now it's the, the more mature halfbacks in the game that are just dominating, and this is just the ultimate test of chess, isn't it, between these two?
Mate. Because, heading into this year, would you say that SJ is almost a mental combatant? Like, he battles them mentally? Probably not. Now you're going, holy shit, is SJ going to be trying to play my games with Reynolds? We know Reynolds is going to be trying to play. You know what I mean? You didn't think that battle was going to happen. And yet here we arrive with guys that are definitely, older halfbacks, and yet their impact on the NRL this year has been phenomenal. Cannot wait. Payne Haas versus Adam Fanua-Blake.
That forward pack battle is so exciting. They're two of the best packs in the competition, but so different in so many ways. The Broncos are like this big, strong, super fit, really intelligent forward pack. They'll just bust you through the middle and not give you a chance. The Warriors are very different. They're like, a lot of it is their passing and their short interchange of passing. They're very crafty in and around the ruck. So they're different styles of play. Who's going to come out on top?
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you're from the Warriors' perspective, what is the one thing usually that the big explosive forwards struggle with? It's lateral movement in defence. And so from a Warriors perspective, you're sitting there going, boys, that is literally our bread and butter, is creating space around the ruck. So if we can get that game plan right and we can make sure that we can actually get some momentum, they might have real trouble, the Brizzy Broncos, in dominating the ruck, especially when they're defending their line because of the craftiness of the Warriors.
I know they won't, but Christ, as Tim just said, because these matchups are so different in the forward pack, I would love to have a microphone on Pat Carrigan this week. Just to hear his chat in defence up against his side. Because that's where it's won and lost.
Tohu Harris.
Yep.
Like, we talked about Tohu Harris basically being a ball-playing forward. Paddy Carrigan's basically one of the best talking forwards in the competition. And not to say that Tohu doesn't talk. He definitely talks. You see it on the field. But, I mean, Paddy Carrigan he's 10 years his junior to a degree in regards to, when did Tohu debut? 2012 or 13?
Yep.
And, Paddy's in his 3rd or 4th year of first grade, so still kind of young. I know he's 24 years old, 25 years old. But, I mean, this is Paddy's moment. To go up against probably, I know Isaiah Yeo would still be considered the best 13 in the competition, Cam Murray as well. But when you're talking about form 13s, it has to be between Tohu Harris and Paddy Carrigan over the last 6 weeks or so.
Aren't they two guys that you just know they're going to be the last guys to talk before they leave the change room? Like, you just get goosebumps thinking about those two moments there.
The battle is going to be unbelievable.
And equally, the one you mentioned before, Payne Haas versus Adam Fanua-Blake, I think the last couple of years probably been a bit of a consensus that Payne Haas probably the best front row in the NRL. You can throw a few blokes in the mix, but I think no one would argue too much about that. Adam Fanua-Blake, who's got, 9 or 10 tries behind him this year, was tremendous on the weekend, fresh, ready to go, just going, nah, I'm the man. I've got you here, mate.
100%. And what I love about them is they're so different.
So different.
So different front rowers. Like, Payne Haas is just work rate through the roof, whereas Adam Fanua-Blake, more a bit of late footwork at the line. Now, I've spoken about how the Warriors can win it, but how the Broncos can win it is if this forward pack gets rolling and this back line clicks into gear, it's impossible to stop. Again, I would argue that even the Penrith Panthers would struggle to stop if this forward pack clicks into gear and Reece Walsh, Katoni Staggs, Herbie Farnworth, Selwyn Cobbo, Jesse Arthurs, who was great on the weekend. Like this backline, Ezra Mann, we are talking about some of the most explosive athletes in the competition. You give them a bit of space at Suncorp Stadium, running downhill, very hard to stop.
I'm really looking forward to watching Herbie Farnworth in this game. Defensively, coming up against that Warriors right edge for me. If you can shut down that right edge of the Warriors, Christ, that takes you a long way. Especially with the Broncos, we know. I think Matty had a stat, might have been off mic before. What was it about the Broncos and their point scoring?
Yeah, so I'll have to get. I think they've had 7 games in a row where they've scored 5 tries or more, and like the record's something like 9, which is pretty crazy.
It's insane,
mate. And another thing I love about this game, what is the one thing that smashes systems apart? Just hyper athletes. These incredible athletes like GI. What do you do? How do you defend GI? You can have all the systems in the world. You can train all week. You can do all the video. You can put a bib on a guy and say, you're going this. You get to game day. He goes, bang, bang, bang. Thanks for coming. And that's the thing with this Broncos side is even though the Warriors systems are some of the best in the competition, sometimes a system can only go so far. And sometimes athleticism and talent, even though the Warriors are talented, but you look at this Broncos side, it can just smash apart systems. And all of a sudden, it's like, when your systems aren't working, what do you do? How do you defend against that? But it's almost the age-old saying of similar to it is like, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So this system, it's a safer bet. If the Broncos come out and get ahead of themselves and think that they're just this rock star team that's going to make it happen, that's when a system can just swallow you up. Before you know, you look up, there's 10 to go, and they're 12 in front. And that's what's so interesting about this game is that you would argue that Broncos are more of which is ironic to say it about the Warriors, but you would argue the Broncos are more of an ad-lib side, more of a side that huge forwards, offloads, Reece out the back, Reece through the middle. So it's almost system versus off-the-cuff rugby league that we're going to watch. What's the winner? What's going to be the winner?
Jesse Arthurs play left wing?
Yeah, I think so. Well, Corey Oates was dropped for him last week.
Yeah, he was the 18th man. Big test.
It's a huge test. Now, for Brisbane Broncos, yes, it's been an incredible year. Yes, you got to the prelim, and regardless of result, it should be considered a good year for rugby league. But you have the chance to write your own history right now. You have the opportunity to step out of the shadow of the greats that made that jersey synonymous with winning. It's a time to take it. You worked your ass off to get there. It's your time to take it. It's your time to remember all the things that were said only 2 years ago about you as men and you as players. It's the time to let them know that was wrong and that you'll let your talking you'll let your actions do the talking on the field. For the Warriors, it's about that magic that you captured last week.
Kempy, you're obviously linked with Channel 9 now. Has there been talks about, we know Gus Gould's hung up the boots from those pre-origin speeches. That's some seriously spine-tingling stuff. That's 2 weeks on the trot where you've just come out of nowhere with these breathtaking...
I'm just passionate rugby league fan,
We're a
mate.
week away from the game and you're just dropping this out.
I'm just a passionate rugby league fan.
I was watching you through it as well. Like you just... I've never seen a bloke more zoned in on something. No idea of what's going on in the rest of the room. You were in there.
Mate, I was on the field with them. I was thinking of Suncorp. I was thinking of the jersey. I was thinking of that grass that you see when you're out there.
That was awesome.
So that record I said before, so it was 7. They started in round 18. They scored 5 tries every week for 7 games, but the Storm stopped them in the final round of the year. So they can't break that record, but it's still a good achievement.
Yeah. Anything else, boys?
Yes. I do. I've got a gripe.
Okay.
The kick-off time.
Oh, for the Warriors fans?
10 to 10 New Zealand time.
I know.
It's so shit.
It is shit.
It's like for all the kids and the Kiwi fans there watching over in NZ, like that's a late kick-off.
Yeah.
Surely you can tinker with it to make it a bit more suitable for them.
I think the problem is the AFL in the same town has moved its time earlier. Whereas they should have flipped it. They should have made the footy game, the league game earlier and AFL later. But yeah, because maybe you lose ratings. I'm not sure. I doubt you would, but maybe you do. But Broncos don't lose anything by doing it at 5 o'clock or whenever. It's Arvo footy. That's mad for the Broncos.
Even better for them. Yeah.
So I don't understand why they didn't do that. Maybe it's a a news thing, or maybe it needs to finish after news, before news. I don't know.
I think everything always comes back to ratings, doesn't it? So for whatever, and I'm sure the early game probably drops a few viewers, but at what cost?
It does suck. It does suck.
Anyway. That's it though, mate.
Last thing I'd throw in there, and I understand obviously it was for family reasons and whatnot, but geez, Reece Walsh going up against the Warriors this
Ooh,
week.
I didn't even think about that.
Huge little narrative there. And I actually completely understand where Reece Walsh coming from, moved over there for family and whatnot, but I'm sure there'd be a lot of Warriors fans that would be sitting there going, hey, you didn't want to be here.
Yeah. It will be interesting, his reception from the Warriors fans.
Yep.
Will be interesting. If someone had said to you that Reece Walsh would leave the Warriors and then meet them in a prelim final,
Unbelievable.
you would have said, you are fucking mental, bro. You are mental. And then oh man, that is going to be so good. And like with Reece, it's just, mate, just run the ball first half. It's going to, it's going to come. Look what happened in the last game. Against the Storm, you could argue, are they better than the Warriors? Maybe, maybe not. But it's against the Storm. What happened? You just ran the ball the first half and then boom, it exploded. And I think that's the key takeaway for Reece is like, don't go in there thinking I need to have 2 try assists in the first 20 minutes. Just run the ball.
You've said it every week, Kempy, this year. Walshy, patience, mate. It will come. You're a freak. You create more attacking opportunities than anyone in the NRL.
Yeah.
It'll come.
It'll absolutely, guaranteed, Walshy, you can guarantee yourself a line break and a try assist if you just run the ball for the first 40 or so minutes.
Is he in this room? Who are you blokes talking to?
Mate, he's a fucking avid listener, mate. He's an avid listener, the great Reece Walsh.
On the lounge over there.
He loves the potty.
But yeah, and from a Broncos fan perspective, or not even it's for them, it's not about talent. It's not about do we have the game plan. All it is about is not getting ahead of yourselves and earning the right to the victory and not believing that it's going to fall on your lap. You have to earn the right to be victorious over the Warriors because they're not going to give it to you. And that's the only thing that could hold them back, which I don't think is going to happen.
Who does a win mean more to this weekend?
Ooh.
The career of Sean Johnson or the career of Adam Reynolds? Arriving to the Broncos as a wooden spoon side, taking them all the way to a grand final, or SJ just leading the Warriors to a grand final in a season where most people didn't have them in the 8?
That's hectic because SJ is already kind of locked in as one of New Zealand's best, regardless of what happens. Whereas this, as we said last week, it changes the way you look at Renault's career, especially in tandem with what's happening at the Rabbitohs right now.
Yep.
When, guilty as charged, we said it was a good swap. Ilias is a future, and it may still turn out to be. But right now, they definitely miss Renault this year. So if he was to take them to the grand final, and for a club that's had some incredible halves, that hasn't won a comp since 2006, if he were to do that this year, it changes everything for Reynolds' career. It puts everything in a new light.
Oh, I think Reynolds. I really do.
I think as an individual season, looking at it in that context, if SJ can get the Warriors there, I think that's not significantly, but a fair bit bigger, just because it was a team expected to do no good.
Oh, from that perspective,
he
for
was
sure.
Done, all that. But if we're talking entire careers, it's a great question.
It's tight.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah, from a team perspective, definitely Warriors to a GF because the Broncos' talent has never been in doubt.
No.
It's never been in doubt.
And nor had Reynolds come into the season. We knew he was a gun. He was.
Yeah, it's a great question, Guru. If you get some right or sometimes.
Yeah, you throw enough shit at the wall, some will stick.
All right, beers and break-evens on Wednesday.
Yes, final episode.
Final episode, beers and break-evens. Make sure, do the survey, guys. It really does help us. And what would also support us a lot if you listen to the podcast all year long, go out and grab a case of Bloke beer. It really does help the podcast, helps us grow it. And as usual, we'll go and fuck ourselves.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.